Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. Today, we have an incredible guest. Kathleen Belew is a historian and an international authority on the white power movement. I found this episode to be fascinating. White power is such a bigger thing than I had any idea of prior to this. She has a book out now called Bring the War Home, The White Power Movement and Paramilitary America. There's so much here. There's all these fringe groups that you've heard of that really all are under this umbrella of white power. This is a terrifying and fascinating episode, and I think you're going to love Kathleen Belew. We get support from Quince.
So we've been talking about Quince a lot lately, and as we head into fall, it's the perfect time to reset your wardrobe with their amazing pieces. I think it's so fun to do when the seasons turn over to just spruce up your wardrobe with a couple specials, and Quince is the place.
Totally. We're talking organic cotton, Mongolian cashmere, tailored chinos from just $60. Premium fit and quality you'd expect from a luxury brand designer. I love Quince. You know, I like it understated and subtle, and I like stuff that has high quality. And Quince checks all those boxes.
I love a lot of stuff from Quince. Honestly, they have incredible premium denim, which is very important for fall. It's pretty much all I wear in the fall is denim. And Quince has such a good selection of quality denim. Their stuff is so versatile, timeless, and built to last that you just grab every single day without thinking.
Right. And all of that for 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They go direct to ethical factories, cut out the middlemen, so you get all that quality without overpaying for it.
We love that. And they do way more than clothes. They have bedding, cookware, bath essentials, travel must-haves, same deal, and great quality.
Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/Dax. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/Dax. We get support from Apple Gift Card. Back to school is here, and for many, that means some big life transitions. Whether they are heading into a new grade or setting up a dorm for the first time, you want to give them something that actually supports their growth and success. Apple Gift Card is a versatile solution because it takes the guesswork out of gifting. It's not just about a new pair of AirPods for focus. It's about giving them the invaluable chance to choose the digital tools and subscriptions that suit their unique journey. They can use it for productivity apps on the App Store, movie nights on Apple TV, or extra iCloud storage for all those new memories. With Apple Gift Card, it's so empowering to give the students their freedom to allocate their own resources. Celebrate their new academic chapter. Visit applegiftcard.apple.com to celebrate their milestones and gift one today.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Is there a story of this dog?
There is.
I'm excited that there's an actual armchair, too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You'll find as you hear the origin of that dog, most of the things in here are things my wife rejected from our house. So this lazy boy was in our living room in front of the screen for optimum viewing, and she hated it. So she kicked it out, and then it ended up in this attic, which wasn't really even a thing yet. And then similarly, this dog, it's not a painting, print that you speak of. When I moved into the house we just left 16 years ago, I never lived in a house. A lot of wall space. I had a one-bedroom apartment for 10 years. I mean, what am I going to do? Went online, ordered a bunch of random things. This was one of them I happened to love. And my wife was like, you're not a dog person. What is this?
It just called to you.
He has a brother, too, but he's long lost. I haven't seen him
I think he's in the basement.
Oh, okay.
And he's a whippet, I think. The brother's a whippet.
Is he also in front of a post?
He just looks like this. He looks regal.
I mean, his owner's rich, right? We would agree about this Great Dane.
Yeah, I think so.
Big column.
A big marble, would we say plinth?
Oh, wow. Would we?
It's Greek architecture, right? The
Yeah.
column. And you would call it a plinth?
I think the bottom part is a plinth.
Did you say plinth or plinth?
Plinth, I
Plinth.
think, but I could be wrong.
With an N and a TH.
I think.
You've given us so much for the fact check already, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
Before we get into serious stuff,
Okay, yeah,
'cause we're
please.
gonna.
Yeah.
This is a ding, ding, ding. You have to be careful what you give away, because my best friend, Callie, she moved from London. All this came to light this weekend. She's moving in with her now husband. They were moving into a shared space.
They were culling the herd.
Yeah. And, it's a little fragile when you're telling your partner, I don't want that in the house. I don't want this. So they're both trying to be really mindful. So Callie's like, we'll get rid of all of this stuff. We'll just get rid of it all. And then Max, her husband, was like, well, how about we keep that chair? And he's trying to be nice.
Sure.
This chair's nice. Let's keep it. And she's like, no. Let's just get rid of it. So she sends it to Out of the Closet here in LA. And this weekend she was on First Dibs, which is a auction site, looking for chairs. And her chair was on there.
No.
Guess how much?
What kind of chair? Like one
It's
you're
a
sitting
Windsor chair. It turns out it's from
in? The Elizabethan
a
period?
fancy British chair designer.
No. Mm-hmm. How much?
5,000.
Well, the only person
She gave it away.
and Max fought to keep it.
Okay, so he feels good. Thank God.
This could have ended their marriage,
Exactly.
right? He probably hated this chair. It sounds old
He was
and
like,
shitty.
it's fine. It's fine. Of all the things, let's keep this.
Yeah,
this
he's
is nice.
encouraging her to save a couple
She had it
things.
upholstered and she didn't like the upholstery, so she had a negative
So
opinion.
even having been altered, it was worth $5,000?
Yeah.
Okay, we're sorry, Kathleen, but thank you so much for,
That's what we do.
yeah, that's what we do. So we have a heavy topic ahead of us. You're a historian by training. What calls you to this before we even talk about it? Where are you from? Where were you born?
So I'm from Colorado. I'm from the
Okay.
Denver suburbs. And a lot of my work has been more about trying to understand what I saw growing up.
Right.
Much of which turns out to be historically significant and not just your run-of-the-mill teenage angst about what you're seeing around you. The two big ones for me were the trial of Timothy McVeigh, who was the Oklahoma City bomber that happened right down the street.
Oh, he was tried in Colorado?
Yeah, he was.
Because he had been pulled over there?
No, they had to do a change of venue because they didn't think they could get an impartial trial in Oklahoma.
Oh,
So they
okay.
moved it to the Denver suburbs, which made us all really aware of the bombing and what it was in a variety of ways that I don't think we've really reconciled with that history.
Yeah.
And then the other one is Columbine, the Columbine shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I was a junior in high school. It was my school district. It wasn't my
wow.
school, but
Oh,
it
wow.
was down the street.
And you were what age when that happened?
I guess 17.
Oh, so you were in school?
Yeah.
Did you know anyone there?
I knew people at Columbine High School. I didn't know anyone who was killed. I would never say that I was part of the survivor community, right? Because people who were there are impacted in completely different ways. But I think everyone from Colorado at that time carries this around as sort of a irreconcilable story in all kinds of different ways. And it really led me to thinking deeply about violence and how we come to this point.
Well, I would parallel it with when you're sexually abused as a kid, what immediately happens afterwards is your entire worldview changes. It has to. There are people out on planet Earth that are trying to abuse you. And so that's a permanent adjustment in your worldview. Similarly, even if you weren't there or the relative of someone who had been killed, in your worldview, in your town, or in your community, sometimes people will come in and gun everyone up. So it's a permanent shift in your worldview.
Definitely. There's this book called Aftermath by Susan Bryson that I really like, describing her own experience of assault. And I think this is true at the community level, too, when we talk about mass trauma. She makes the point that it isn't that trauma makes the world unsafe. It's that it reveals that it was not ever safe.
Yes.
So for that to happen in high school, when I was becoming a person, it really shook what I thought I knew about everything. And then I became a historian completely by accident. I just wanted to figure things out and tell stories. And I went through a whole bunch of different majors, more than my parents would have liked, I think, and landed in an interdisciplinary kind of build yourself program, which was great for me.
An a la carte.
An a la carte one, yeah. One that
yeah.
emphasized study abroad and community and story-driven methodology. And then I did my grad degree in American Studies, which is also not history, capital H, history proper.
Why?
I mean, I had no idea what grad school was. My parents didn't go to grad school. I didn't know anything. I just wanted to go somewhere where people were asking questions like the ones I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
So the way my mother summarized it was American Studies is like history, but with no rules. You use the history toolbox, but you can use it on movies or songs or
I got
jokes or
you.
whatever is around.
It can be like a cultural.
It's a lot like cultural studies, yeah. Capital H history has now expanded a lot to include a lot of those methodologies and topics. That divide is not as stark as it was once.
Yeah.
But then my professional life has all been in capital H history. So now I'm feeling very proprietary about training and the skills we can learn from it and things. And I find myself more and more a historian as I go.
And so you come out now armed with a PhD. You have a PhD in history?
In American Studies.
In American Studies. And then you take a job in academia, and you're going to have to do research, I presume, to have your job, right? That's kind of required of a professor. Is that when you decide this will be your focus, or does it predate that?
It was my dissertation.
It was, okay.
Racial inequality and interpersonal violence is where most of my thinking has been. And the thing that really stands out as soon as you start reading about any of this is that the United States is really not unusual in our history of racial violence and racial inequality. There are a lot of countries that have had entrenched white supremacist legal systems, that have had deep histories of racial violence, that have had horrific moments of genocide, and we could go on down this list. But we are very unusual in how little we've done to have a public conversation about it. There's been nothing like, for instance, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Yeah.
There's been nothing like a major national telling of the story. This problem comes up over and over again in different ways, but things like people choosing school boards as a site of cultural, political skirmish is because of telling stories about history. When I started my dissertation, we didn't have the National African American History Museum on the Mall yet. We didn't have the lynching memorial in Montgomery, Alabama yet. And so I really wanted to know what was going on with that. It's not just that it happened, it's why can't we tell a story about what happened? Why can't we talk about what happened?
Yeah, I was brought up to go, we had a real rough start. We owned human beings, but in 1886 or 68, whatever it was, we put an end to that. Closed the book.
Yeah.
Problem solved, no more slavery. And then only through loving historical biographies have been like, oh, wow, Reformation was a crazy period that was just as violent and but maybe more. Oh, and then this, and then this, and then this. And oh, well, Civil Liberties Act. Okay, let's close the book, solve. I think we've just wanted so many times to go, and that's that. Now we're past that.
Yeah, I grew up with that too, but about the civil rights movement, the idea that people fought hard and they fixed it. And now here's this world that we give you. But I could look around and see that that was not a complete task.
Yeah.
So I got drawn to, there was this little upstart Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Greensboro, North Carolina in 2005. And they had nothing. Not even the city council said, yes, we buy into this process. They had no subpoena power. They couldn't make anybody do anything. They had no punitive power. If they unearthed inequality, they couldn't do anything about it. It was just, let's tell a story about this thing that happened. So I came to the project wanting to learn about that. And then I got very involved in the story of what had happened, which is about an event in 1979 where a group of leftist demonstrators were picketing and having an anti-Klan rally outside in a Black housing project in Greensboro. And a united caravan of neo-Nazi and Klan gunmen showed up, opened fire, shot for 88 seconds. This was caught on 3 different news cameras. There's tons of evidence. And then they were acquitted in state trial. They were acquitted in federal trial.
Oh my God.
And the civil suit later on came out and said that the only death that had been wrongful of the 5 people they killed was one person who had not been a card-carrying communist at the time of their death. All the other deaths were sort of okay, not wrongful.
Like you put down some insurrectionists that were trying to make this country communist.
Is the subtext, yes.
Yeah.
It's one of those things as a historian that just doesn't sit right. Because
Yeah.
1979 is really late.
Yeah, I was alive then, by the way.
Yeah, for what I thought I knew about the Klan, that was late. The dynamics of it seemed strange to me because it was 4 victims who looked like white men. It turned out one of them was Cuban, but they look white. And 1 African-American woman were killed. And then also the whole neo-Nazis and the Klan together part didn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
And then in the TRC process, where they're there to tell their stories, they kept saying something that I just couldn't stop thinking about, which, by the way, the perpetrators showed up to tell their stories, which is amazing. The thing they kept saying was, well, I killed communists in Vietnam, so why wouldn't I kill them in North Carolina? I mean, that collapses home front and battlefield. That collapses wartime and peacetime. That mixes up everybody on the left into one communist, quote unquote, enemy. I just thought that was so strange. And then I started looking, and it turns out that that was not at all unusual.
Also implicit in that story is a collective national guilt that Vietnam was a regrettable experience that ruined a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So you almost go, God, we fucked these boys up. And
Yeah.
now they're here and they did this thing, but who could blame them? We fucked them up.
It mobilizes a narrative about the Vietnam War that we tell in a whole bunch of different places in our culture.
Right.
And then it turned out that this was not an isolated incident, but a nationwide movement that was bringing together Klansmen and neo-Nazis and later on skinheads and some parts of the militia movement into one groundswell. And you can look and see how they're interconnected in the archive because they're marrying each other, they're trading weapons, they're picking each other up from the airport, they're sending money, they're giving each other computers. It's a dense social network. The social movement part of it was really a surprise for me.
So I'm going to read one little excerpt from your book that's right at the beginning because we're going to be talking a lot about white power. And I think there'll be some confusion about these many different groups that you already maybe know. But you say, I use white power to refer to the social movement that brought together members of the Klan militias, radical tax resistors, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and proponents of white theologies such as Christian identity, Odinism, you'll have to explain that, and dualism between 1975 and 1995. Some have described this group of people with the terms white nationalists, white separatists, the racist right, or white supremacists. None of these terms is appropriate for describing the larger movement. Not all proponents of white power advocate white nationalism or white separatism, and white nationalism presumes a different outcome, one inherently less violent than that envisioned by a vocal segment of the white power movement. The term racist right presumes a political continuum that does not properly describe this activism, which at times shared more with the revolutionary left than with the conservative mainstream. Therefore, the encompassing term white power, which was a slogan commonly used by those in the movement, is the most precise and historically accurate term. So when we talk about white power, we're talking about this umbrella all these people fit under without getting into all their little individual idiosyncrasies.
Academics, journalists, and I think people, when they're trying to figure out what they're looking at, we have all dramatically overemphasized distinctions between these groups.
Yeah.
So for instance, how many are skinheads? How many are Klansmen? Which tattoo goes to which group? Which slogan goes to which group? Which one is in my community? Which ones are violent or nonviolent?
Probably even have a little hierarchy in our head.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
absolutely.
neo-Nazis with Hitler stuff on there at the top of this pyramid. Proud Boys, I don't know, they're in collared shirts.
And it gets confusing,
Yeah.
particularly when they're deliberately dressing in a way that they think will be palatable, right?
Yeah.
But the way that this works on the ground does not care very much at all about those distinctions, because what you see in the archive of the earlier movement is that it was very typical for one person to be in multiple groups or to move around between groups. There's shifting allegiances having to do with everything from moving from one town to another and they don't have a Klan chapter, so you join the Nazi chapter instead, to like you had a fight with this person and so you're going to move down the street to the other one, or maybe you're romantically involved with somebody on this other side, so you go over there. And there's all these different interpersonal reasons for moving around.
Yeah.
And as a result, I think it's very difficult to get an accurate head count of anything, because what we really should be thinking about is sort of a groundswell of people, not isolated groups.
Right.
Thank you for reading that section. When I hear that section about definitions now, I wish I could have done that a little more clearly.
Oh, no. I loved it because I came at this thinking these are all segmented little groups that are all bound together by being nutcases. But beyond that, no overall coordination, no overall shared anything other than they hate everyone. But
Yeah.
not true.
Not true. Same movement. Lots of interconnections. But I think the other part about defining terms that's important is white supremacy, the way that historians use that term, is not just racist belief. It's the broad set of problems that create and perpetuate racial inequality. So it includes racist belief, but it also includes things like the Greensboro verdicts come out that way because of the way that jury selection is still a vestige of old white supremacist practice in the court where they're tried, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just the racial violence, it's also the court.
Here's a big branding issue, and I understand why people are confused and or defensive. White supremacist is a fucking Nazi. I grew up hearing white supremacists are Nazis.
Yeah.
Right? Or skinheads. My judicial branch of the government is a white supremacy. That's rough.
Not the judicial system. So I'm not somebody who thinks that all of American democracy is white supremacist, right? We
Okay.
have a history of white supremacist construction of many of our systems.
Sure.
And that means that if we want to have a system that creates and ensures equality, we have to do a little bit of an accounting to figure out what's in there that's not operating in a fair way.
Yeah, what's a holdover or vestigial?
Yeah, But what I'm concerned about is if you look at something like maternal mortality rate or educational attainment during COVID or incarceration rates, all of these have profound racial inequality just at the statistical level. And they have that even if nobody involved is individually racist.
Right. Yeah,
It's our systems.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we care about equality, we have to go a step beyond I myself am not a racist in order to address the lingering issues left behind by our history.
Yes,
So that's what I mean by white supremacist.
I got you.
So let's think about a wooden fence in your backyard. The planks of the fence are distinct pieces, and the whole fence is white supremacy. So one or two boards are individual racist belief. And then over here is disparate rates of medical care efficacy. And over here is incarceration practice. And over here is policing. None of those have to have individual racists
Yeah.
to function in an unequal way. So the whole fence is white supremacy. One plank maybe is racial violence. And when we're talking about neo-Nazis, I guess they're a splinter in the plank. I'm trying to think how far I can stretch this metaphor.
Right.
What I'm talking about is not even all people who believe that white people are better than non-white people, which we would call individually racist or individually white supremacist.
Yeah.
I'm talking about people who believe that and advocate violence to remove non-white people and believe that all the things that they disagree with about our country have to do with threats to the white birth rate, and they're perfectly willing to commit genocide to solve that problem.
Right.
So I'm talking about a tiny, tiny, tiny subsection of individually racist people. That's the white power movement.
Okay, great.
And that little subsection includes a bunch of different varieties. So Klan, neo-Nazi, parts of the militia movement, parts of radical tax resistance, the whole skinhead movement, et cetera.
It's funny because we do a conspiracy show and there's a conspiracy pyramid similar. Virtually when you get to the top of the pyramid, when you're dealing with like QAnon and everything, what's really, really weird is that they all end up leading to anti-Semitism. Because of course there's this big global elite that is running this conspiracy, perpetuating it. And of course it's always Jewish people who are at the helm.
Yes.
In what country, I don't know. And where they got the reins passed over to them, I don't know. But all roads lead there.
It's interesting how much conspiracy theory appears as a rehash of much older stories, right? So, I mean, I think QAnon is different in some ways just because of how it works and how quickly it goes. But as you say, the idea that there is a network of malevolent elite cultural power broker forces that are trying to victimize white women and children, that's the same thing as the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is from the early 20th century.
Right. And that's Henry Ford's.
That's the Henry Ford one, yes.
Yeah. And then similarly, we had this expert on who teaches at Texas State who was saying the QAnon thing is identical to Salem in that all of these old conspiracies end with children being killed. So it was these women were torturing kids in the basement, these witches, and QAnon's ultimate belief is that we're extracting adrenochrome from babies in basements. And it's like, well, it's the same goddamn story that we now think is preposterous.
They pick that because that's a universal heartstring.
Sure.
That everyone can totally feel visceral about. And then there's real stuff happening with kids that they won't do anything about. It's so ironic.
It manipulates that, of course, everyone wants to keep their child safe and other children safe, right? Like that's a basic human instinct.
Yeah.
But it warps that instinct in a lot of really destructive ways. You know, if you study any conspiracy theory, I bet you talk about this already on your other podcast, but any conspiracy theory has within it a seed of a grievance that is real.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
People don't just grab a conspiracy theory because they're being crazy. They grab a conspiracy theory because it deeply pulls them in.
Yes. It has to find some purchase as an entry point to then become insane. While we're talking about words that people would maybe at first go like, well, you can't call them. Because somehow activist is like a euphemism almost. It's like a positive, right? And so you refer to these people as activists, which they are. And I think you have to point out early in the book
what they're activating for.
I don't mean that in a endorsement kind of a sense. I see that as a neutral word insofar as I'm using it in this book. Similarly, one key distinction here is that what they are doing is revolutionary, and I don't mean to imbue that with any positive meaning either. What I mean is that these are people who are prepared to take action, often violent action, for their beliefs and are interested in overthrowing the country to create an ethno-state.
Yeah, that's a really key component.
Yeah. I think it's really important to understand that it is fundamentally not only anti-democracy, but anti-American. It's interested in the overthrow of the country and genocide of everyone who does not fit into their racial logic.
I learned this from you today studying you, which is I guess I would have assumed a lot of these white power movements were working towards a United States of America that was whites only. But in fact, they don't want a United States of America. They want an entirely different country, an Aryan something of America.
Exactly. And this is why I think white nationalist is a really tricky term, because when people hear nationalist, they think, aha, this must just be an overexertion of patriotism, right? Like a little
Right.
too much patriotism has gotten out of hand. But the nation in white nationalism, as understood by the people I study, is not the United States. It's white people throughout the world. So they're interested in, can we have a coming together of white people in the United States and Canada and Australia and Europe and maybe South Africa?
It's the Handmaid's Tale country. What do they create?
Oh, Gilead?
Gilead. Yeah, it's like
It is
Gilead.
a little bit like Gilead.
Yeah, I was very much, by way of my brother, immersed in the 80s and 90s punk rock scene.
Oh, cool.
And there were skinheads that would show up. There would be bands that had overlap, like Sick of It All was a band. It would bring out both. There would be the Nazi skinheads at these shows, and then there would be Sharps, skinheads against racial prejudice. So the Sharps would come and they would fight the Nazi skinheads, but who's who?
Wait, what? A skinhead against?
Yeah, anti-racist skinheads.
And in fact, when I was in 8th grade, I had shaved my head, and I always made it very clear, I'm a Sharp. I didn't go to any
just
meetings.
people who had shaved heads.
And wanted to distinguish themselves.
So they looked like skinheads,
I
but
see.
But we're against racial
Okay.
prejudice, Sharps.
Okay.
yeah.
And they would go and defend the black folks that happened to be at a Sick of It All show against the neo-Nazis.
Yeah. There's a longer history, too, of the skinheads coming to the United States out of a very working class.
They were more anarchists in England.
Much more in England. And then the Sharps, as you say, are a really interesting countercurrent. The other thing that I think is significant about the skinheads is if you think about another popular depiction of this movement is Vicki Weaver, the woman who was killed in 1992 at Ruby Ridge. She's a survivalist housewife. There's pictures of her in like a long white dress.
This is in Idaho,
Yeah.
like Coeur d'Alene-ish,
Remote from Coeur d'Alene, even like 30 minutes up.
in a federal standoff.
Exactly, the federal standoff. So the image of the survivalist housewife with like no makeup and a long dress, and she's removed from all of this, for a social movement to bring together those folks and the skinheads who are showing up perfectly fine with drugs and alcohol, perfectly fine with tattoos and women going topless and
Yeah,
wearing
yeah.
tons of eyeliner and
Orgies.
yeah. And they talk about this. They talk about these people are very different, but this emergency that we're facing makes it critical that we join forces.
I want you to track us because in your book, you segment this from post-Vietnam into the 90s. But within that, I watched a great documentary on Timothy McVeigh, and it really just put together the pieces of Ruby Ridge. Ruby Ridge set off a real unifying, real rally cry to those people, huh?
Can you explain it?
Absolutely. So Ruby Ridge and Waco come one right after the other.
Yeah.
So in both cases, it's federal law enforcement officers pursuing extremists in ways that end up creating both tragic deaths of the extremists and also huge public relations disasters, especially Waco because it's out there on the Texas prairie and it happens on the evening news.
Yeah.
Right.
We're watching it for like 40 days.
Maybe more.
Yeah. And Timothy McVeigh was there, right?
Yeah, he was.
He was?
He was there selling bumper stickers, and he watched the end of the Waco siege when the compound went up in flames and people died. Apparently watched it with tears running down his face. He was profoundly moved by it,
Ay, ay.
which a lot of people were. That's not just
Well, yeah,
him,
people are
right?
dying.
You're pointing out the greatest thing, which is Timothy McVeigh at that point has no interest in starting a polygamous cult. It's just the government. Any enemy of the government is a friend of mine.
Yeah, and Waco's also a tricky one because it was a multiracial compound. It's not a white supremacist compound or a white power compound. They were more just apocalyptic, which is a different current, but an important current. So Ruby Ridge, a federal informant, asked Randy Weaver to sell him a gun that was a 1/4 inch short of the limit. So that makes it a sawed-off shotgun, which is illegal. To be fair,
That's entrapment.
that strikes a lot of people as entrapment.
Yeah.
I think that's some
That's
dubious
fair.
dealings.
Yeah.
They were trying to get Weaver to be a informant on the Aryan Nations compound, which was a white power compound near there that he had gone to several times. And both of the Weavers were clearly involved in the movement in different ways. Both of them were political. It wasn't just that Vicki Weaver was along for the ride. She also wrote letters about every knee shall bow and the government should back off and let us have this. Randy Weaver didn't appear in court, and then there was a warrant out for his arrest. And there's another government misstep here where they gave him the wrong court date.
Oh.
But also, he had also decided not to go. So I don't really buy that as a defense. But they did also mess up the court date. And then they laid siege to the mountaintop. They had helicopter surveillance. They had heavy weapons going in through the nearby town, including armored vehicles and sniper training and a bunch of other stuff. And in the end, there was a series of altercations, and Vicki Weaver was killed standing in the doorway holding her 10-month-old daughter in her arms.
Rough.
Rough, but also that
So
scene
symbolic.
is incredibly symbolic.
It's Mary and her child.
Exactly. Or if you've ever seen Birth of a Nation, it's directly out of Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
The embattled white woman who stands for all of these things. And I should just do a quick aside. The reason white women and white babies are so important here, and you'll see this if you read about the manifestos of mass shooters, is that people in this movement saw all of these different social issues as being about the dropping white birth rate. So they're worried about immigration, abortion, feminism, gay rights, all of those things, because they think they will reduce the white birth rate. So white mothers have this incredible symbolism, and the federal government killing white mothers, this is where we get to the conspiracy theory part, right? It's not just, oops, immigration is going to accidentally do this. They think that there are elite power brokers who are doing that on purpose in order to eradicate the white race.
But why? Why would they do that?
To get your grubby little non-white hands on the levers of power.
But why would American elite?
Oh, why would our government be trying to enact that?
Makes no sense.
So they believed
Yeah.
in what they called Zog, which is the Zionist-occupied government. So they believed the government was controlled by Jewish people and even by the state of Israel. And they also thought that Jewish people controlled the banks. They tried to assassinate Norman Lear at one point because of depiction of interracial family life on sitcom television. And all of these sort of culture brokers were suspect. So when Vicki Weaver got killed holding her infant daughter, one prominent movement leader wrote, there are tens of thousands of Randy Weavers stretched out from one coast to another, and this is going to be the start of the next war. And he said something like, when the feds blew the head off of Vicki Weaver, they killed the American white wife. It became this emblematic call to arms.
What a martyr.
And then we see skyrocketing memberships in militia groups, and that's the surge that leads to the Oklahoma City bombing.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
This episode is brought to you by the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. From the world and creators of The Big Bang Theory comes a new comedy series. Stuart Bloom, comic book store owner and lovable underdog, accidentally breaks a device built by Sheldon and Leonard and kicks off a full-blown multiverse Armageddon. Now, he's on a mission to put reality back together alongside his girlfriend Denise, a geologist named Bert, and physicist Barry Kripke. Along the way, they're running into alternate universe versions of characters you already know and love. Check out the new Max original comedy series, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, now streaming exclusively on HBO Max with new episodes Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Subscription required. This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. We've talked before about Rob building our website on Squarespace, and I bring it up again because it's a perfect example of what they do well. Rob had all the pieces, the content, the vision, the ideas, but he needed something to actually take all that and make it public facing. And Squarespace was that bridge. Maybe you're in the same spot. You've been developing something, a business, a skill set, a body of work, and it's been private. It's been yours, but at some point you're ready to put it out there, and that transition from private to public can feel like a huge leap. Squarespace makes it feel like a step. Beautiful templates, built-in SEO, email campaigns, scheduling, analytics, everything you need to go from I've been working on this to here it is, come find me. All in one place, no code, no stitching together a bunch of different tools. So if you've been sitting on something and waiting for the right moment, this might be it. Head to squarespace.com/DAX for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code DAX to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Back to school starts now. Get long-lasting battery life on the Dell XPS laptop powered by Series 3 Intel Core so you can work from anywhere. Now starting at $699 with exclusive student pricing starting at $599. Complete your setup with savings on select monitors and must-have electronics and accessories. Limited time deals and free shipping on PCs and more await you at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. You've heard us talk about BetterHelp for a while, but I don't know that we've ever talked about how much people love this service when they use it. BetterHelp has an average live therapy session rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on over 1.7 million client session reviews. And you can check out the reviews yourself at betterhelp.com/reviews to see how much they love BetterHelp. Knowing that kind of service feedback from real people speaks for itself. I'm a huge proponent of therapy, as we've talked about before. I've learned so many things about myself that I believe truly only an outside, objective person could help me come to. BetterHelp makes it easy to get started. Answer a few questions, get matched with a therapist based on your needs, and switch therapists at any time if it's not the right fit. See the reviews, see what stands out, and see if BetterHelp is right for you. Visit betterhelp.com/Dax. That's betterhelp.com/Dax.
So in this fear of the birth rate, I thought I had copied and pasted. That was one of the things I wanted to read directly from your book, which is I didn't realize with that starting point, you then click in immediately to their anti-abortion. Mm-hmm. They have to be because that's a birth rate threat. Yeah. They're anti-LGBTQ because that's going to lower the white birth rate. It's a suite of ideas that has to follow from the first one.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow, it's deep.
That one idea is the key to understanding where we are now when we see events like the Buffalo shooting and a manifesto that talks about replacement theory.
Yes.
And often we get news reports saying that's about being anti-immigrant, which it is, but it's also about being anti-other kinds of perceived threats to the white birth rate, which means African-American people, even people that don't live close to you. Any interracial contact is also seen as a threat to the white birth rate.
Oh, I did do it. So this is from your op-ed piece, actually. The long game of white power activists isn't just about violence. This belief transforms social issues into direct threats. Immigration is a problem because immigrants will outbreed the white population. Abortion is a problem because the white babies will be aborted. LGBTQ rights and feminism will take women from the home and decrease the birth rate. Integration, intermarriage, and even the presence of black people distant from a white community, an issue apparently of keen interest in the Buffalo attack, are seen as a threat to the white birth rate through the threat of miscegenation.
Miscegenation.
Say it?
Miscegenation. That just means interracial marriage and sex. And the birth of interracial children. That's interesting. I will next time say the birth of interracial children.
No, it's good. We like learning new
I have
words.
dyslexia, so I will stumble on a word. I'll just look at it and I'll go, you know what? I quit. There's no way I'm sounding that out.
I mean, that one's a doozy.
It is a doozy. There's a C and an S, and maybe the C sounds like an S. Okay, here's another thing that I learned this in an interview you were doing. Actually, I want to have a fun dance about this part. I think we'd all have guesses of what drives increases in the white power movement. And there's a shocking driver of it that I wouldn't have predicted, which is...
So if you look at the rise and fall in Klan activity, which is the one that we have the longest historical record for, it begins in the aftermath of the Civil War, and then it goes all the way through the 20th century and into the present. And they ebb and flow. The sort of peaks in membership align more consistently with the aftermath of warfare than they do with poverty, waves of immigration, populism, economic scarcity, and a whole bunch of other explanations that we have typically gravitated toward.
Yeah, I would have definitely assumed it was driven by poverty, diminished resources, increased competition between immigrants and low-income whites. That's wild.
Yeah.
And those are factors. But what we're looking at here is not only people's frustration, but the thing that tips them into action. So one of the interesting things about that measure is that a sociologist found that all measures of violence tick up like that after war.
Right. This is when the Hells Angels was formed, post-World War II pilots.
And it's not even just veterans. It's not just veterans bringing the war home, although my book is called Bring the War Home, and they do that in some really important ways. But it's also, those measures tick up among children, among women, among older people. It's something about all of our society.
Just because it's been in the zeitgeist, violence has been in the zeitgeist?
I don't think we know why. But I do think it's really important to pay attention to it because we're now in this period of aftermath aftermath of the global war on terror, where my students don't even remember before the global war on terror. Right. And we have this protracted aftermath period coming where we're going to see these waves of violent activity.
Well, one mechanism you mentioned, which is something I hadn't thought about, is it's a huge recruitment opportunity. So you have people coming back who are now displaced. They took a big pause of their life. They were engaged in violence. Now they're back. They're confused.
Who are they
Who
anymore?
are they? What is their cause now? They had a very clear mission. And so just the availability of recruits skyrockets post-war.
Absolutely. And I think wartime trauma is one of the things we should be thinking about, both as a legitimate part of a cycle of repeating violence and as a script that they are able to use for their own purposes. So one person I write about, Louis Beam, who was a leader of the movement and was involved in the Klan and then in Aryan Nations and then in the post-Ruby Ridge militia movement, and certainly was at least an influence on Timothy McVeigh, if not involved in some way that we don't know. He spoke regularly about being diagnosed with PTSD after his wartime experiences in Vietnam, about how wrong warfare is, about the encounters with dead bodies. He was a helicopter gunner, so he saw an enormous amount of carnage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, and I think historians can't know whether he means that or whether he's using it because other people are drawn in by it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But either way, it's definitely one of the primary ways that people talk about their involvement in a movement like this. And they talk about their activism as continuing the work of Vietnam. And that appears not only in Greensboro, where they're killing communists, as they say, but it appears when they are doing border patrol actions and detaining people trying to cross. It appears when they're attempting to assassinate sheriffs and federal judges. Mm-hmm. All of this they see as continuation of the war until they decide to take out the government.
Okay. It's just a gut intuition I have. You're probably approaching it more at the societal level, and maybe I'm more looking at this from the individual perspective. But I have this opinion about all the mass shooters, as well as most of these members of white power, which is they are generally male, they're generally white. I think they're people that felt excluded from classmates in school, maybe excluded from jobs, excluded from romantic relationships, from friendships. And they have to conclude that the system they're living in is flawed because it excludes them. And now you have someone that's just like, well, what thing can I join that agrees the system's flawed and it needs to be overturned? There has to be some consistent personality type within this membership.
I think this is where we jump from my first book to what I am now researching.
Oh, okay.
So I think we need to distinguish completely, just in recent news, between Buffalo and Uvalde.
Okay.
Where a school shooting typically is not a politically, ideologically driven act of violence. Buffalo belongs on a different list. So if you think about Columbine is a really good example of this. There is not a political ideology. I think there could have been. I mean, they were interested in Rammstein and writing Heil Hitler in notebooks and stuff, but they weren't networked.
What do we call political? So yes, I doubt they had any national concerns, but I think they were overthrowing the
local system.
Yes, the local high school hierarchy government. Jocks are in charge, pretty people are in charge, and fuck this system because we're the rejects of it and we're taking down the system. To me, it does still feel inherently political.
I think that's a fair argument.
Let's put it this way. They didn't go to a gas station and they didn't want to just kill people. They wanted to kill the people at that high school.
And they are, in some cases, directly motivated. So the Columbine shooters talk about being directly trying to outstrip the carnage of Oklahoma City. But what they are not doing is trying to do something about whiteness.
No, right, sure.
So my first book is about the more legible ones, which handily often come with a manifesto that explains what they're doing in one way or another. In the second book, I'm interested in that next step about what do we do with those events that seem to be much more individual, and yet there are so many. So when we're looking at a shooting like Buffalo, which has a really clear set of political ideas and antecedents and enemies. I put the manifesto of the Buffalo shooting through my plagiarism detection software, which you have if you teach college. And a lot of it is just cut and pasted from the shooting in Christchurch, New Zealand.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is another reason that it sounds a little more anti-immigrant than the target selection.
Right.
There's a side conversation here about those manifestos are not always honest documents anyway. A lot of it is just designed to get journalists to forward it around around and post it. And then the middle part is all tactical information.
How to.
Yeah, how-to information about target selection and body gear and stuff. There's a really clear list that Buffalo goes on, including Christchurch and El Paso and the Tree of Life Synagogue and the Charleston Bible Study shooting. All of those are carried out by white power gunmen. They are radicalized and in a social movement. Even if that contact is only online, it's still contact and it's still very legible from a historical standpoint.
It's a mission within the same war.
Yeah, those shooters should never be called lone wolves because they are part of a movement.
Yeah.
Over here with Columbine, we really are talking about lone perpetrator action.
Okay, wait, these aren't antithetical to each other, I don't think. They're not
No.
in opposition. To say then, one step further, does any quarterback of the high school football team join that movement?
Oh, like the white power movement?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so people that are thriving in society and accepted and lots of peers.
The weirdest thing about the white power movement, and I should out myself as I am not a person who studies radicalization per se. That's a whole subfield, and I'm not a radicalization expert. But the historical archive has a lot of people who we can track not only what they say they're doing, but their actual lives through a long stretch of time, which I think is an important record of information here. And what we see from that is that there are kind of as many ways into that movement as there are people in the movement. So they range from, like, Louis Beam was pretty popular and ran his own student organization. It was a segregationist student organization, but it was a student organization.
Right.
And he did his time in service and he came back and started his own chapter. And furthermore, Klan groups in Texas in the late 60s, that's not a social outcast.
Yeah, that feels like
place.
an Elks Club in the 60s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a much more mainstream thing. It takes a very long time for law enforcement to get serious about it.
Okay. I've been defeated. I just want to acknowledge
No,
that.
I think we want to believe that. It's easier for us to be like, there's a reason. They're outcasts. They feel excluded. I feel that with terrorists in other countries too. I'm always saying that. It's because they're vulnerable, they're this, they're that, and maybe that's wrong.
My motivation for that, if we can identify something about it, we can go upstream. We have to put way more resources into these kids that are straggling around, and you can tell they're lonely, you can tell they're upset.
And that's a great social impulse anyway.
Yeah.
That hurts nothing. And we should come back around about that for school shootings. So for this, people who are very popular, there are a few people in the white power movement who had advanced degrees, like physicists, multimillionaires. There's a guy that lived in a replica of Mount Vernon and had his own plane. I know.
There was this doxing project for the people at Charlottesville, and they traced one dude. He's a medical student at UCLA.
Yeah. And there's business owners. Some of them are in the suburbs. Some of them seem like nice neighbors. And that's actually a really good recruitment pitch. There's one woman, for me, this was one of the most interesting moments of the research because, so if you study women's history earlier in time, one of the key things is figuring out where women might have made an impact, even if they were not actually the person who signed that they wrote that book. All the times that people will razz people about thanking their wife for typing the manuscript, quote unquote, but actually she co-wrote.
Right, yes.
So there's one of these stories where there's a woman in the white power movement who really was in the movement for childcare. She had 2 little kids under 2. Her husband got involved. He was gone doing bank robberies and a whole bunch of other stuff for the movement. And she's like, what am I going to do here with these kids? So she took them to the center of the thing. And then she kind of got pulled in because
Of the community, yeah.
yeah, they gave childcare, they gave church, they gave marital counseling. They took care of her.
Yeah.
And then she ends up being there's this big last stand. So there's a group called The Order, which was a white power terrorist and bank robbing cell in the 80s. And the leader, Robert Matthews, famously had this big last stand with pursuing federal agents up on Whidbey Island, Washington in 1984. And this is in many a made-for-TV movie depicted as a little shack in the wilderness where it's just one man against the pursuing law, marshals, like it's a Western. We know that story.
Yeah.
It turns out that's totally not what this was. This was a vacation house. It was full of women and children. He was babysitting. They were helping him dye his hair so he could go on the lam. Right up until right before the feds got there, and he ended up dying and the house caught on fire when they dropped illumination flares.
Okay.
He had a lot of ammunition in there. This woman was there with him right before the end, and he wrote this document called The Order's Declaration of War, which was a foundational document for white power activists, and which is still referenced all over the place by people in the movement. And in court transcript, somebody asked her, oh, you were there when you wrote that? She's like, yeah. And they were like, well, did you help? She said, yeah, of course I did. In what capacity? Oh, I proofread it for them. Whoa, 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 whoa. no, because proofread it for them can mean I fixed the commas, but proofread it for them can mean I co-wrote it or
Yeah,
I
of
added
course.
3 stanzas. And that's just somebody who was there for childcare. But to your earlier point, there's also a bunch of people who are high school dropouts and felons and people who really don't fit anywhere else and people who are just recklessly violent that this movement likes because they want to use that impulse.
Yeah.
It's all of it.
It's all of it.
Yeah.
I know. I wanted there to be like,
Me too.
I know.
but I guess it's a multi-pronged approach to all this stuff.
Yeah.
So women's role in the movement, it's so weird to think of this as misogynistic because you're kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt. So it sounds nice on the surface, but I think the popular conception would be women get drug into this.
Yeah. Well, and some do, but a lot don't.
Yeah.
Look at how many women voted for Trump and didn't vote for Hillary. So many.
Yeah. So the notion that women are a voting group or anything is preposterous.
Yeah. This is a historian's problem also, that we collectively totally missed the Reagan Revolution coming, to the extent that a prominent historian wrote an essay in 94 called The Problem of Conservatism that was basically just, you guys, where did that come from? How did we miss this? This is huge.
Meaning how successful it was?
Yeah.
Or, oh, okay.
How
okay.
many people were involved? How successful? Here comes Reagan into the White House. How do we get from the 60s, right, which is a time of leftist social mobilization, to the 80s, which is a time of absolutely the other thing?
Right.
And what I'm about to say is not about the white power movement. I am now talking about the new right, which is sort of the broad conservative movement that emerges in the United States after World War II and crests up to the Reagan years and then morphs in the 80s and is still with us in different ways. So different thing now. I am not painting them with the same brush. But it's interesting because the reason we missed it is that a lot of it was powered by women's grassroots activism. And if you asked them, they would say, I'm not political. I'm just a wife and mother.
Right.
And then they would turn around and go back to their political organizing.
Sure.
Right? So if you go to a John Birch Society meeting in the 60s, or a Reagan campaign event, or a Goldwater thing, all of these were really done by women. And when historians were looking back then in the 80s and 90s, we were looking for the men who were sort of the intellectual archetypes of the movement.
Yeah, holding the power.
Holding the power,
Yeah.
writing the books, doing all that stuff. So that's part of the story, but you don't see this whole underground of mobilization. And that underground is the thing that gives rise to like the big movement that propels
Oh, women
Reagan.
be talking. When my wife finds out something's healthier than the other thing, everyone's going to know within a couple hours. You know?
So you know what's really weird about the white power women?
Tell me.
They are so into macrobiotic diet and organic gardening. And they're into it way early, like in the 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Because let's go back to nature when the white male was king.
Yes. And also they don't trust the government.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
Grow your own food.
Grow your own food, be off the grid. But also, it's one of the places where you can kind of see the fringe left and the fringe right start to.
Yeah, me
Yes,
too.
yes. It's a political circle, not a
It's
spectrum.
same with the anti-vaccine.
Absolutely. That's such a smart way to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of Whole Food shoppers.
A lot of Whole Food shoppers. Whole Earth catalog is what it was back then. Yeah.
Okay, so women, they sometimes have been tasked with softening the message of these folks or just the public perception. But they, in fact, were on the ground in many of these things. They drove getaway cars, as you say.
Yes.
They're also involved in the homeschooling, obviously, and the church get-togethers. I don't know why I wrestle with the notion. I guess because it feels so hateful and it feels like the domain of men, or violence feels like the domain of men. Do you agree, Monica? It feels weirder.
That women are involved.
Yeah, women are passionately involved.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the violent portion, yes, but that's the part they're not really engaging in.
They're making it all happen.
Yeah.
I get what you mean, though.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to confront this. I'm probably acknowledging there's some misogyny here, or there's something here, but it's just curious to me that I immediately think, oh, these poor gals have been drug in by these fucking loser husbands. They can't get a job at Aco Hardware, so black people need to go.
I mean, it's a mystery, right? Because if you're a woman in the movement, so Vicki Weaver, for instance, lived in a very remote place with her husband, and she and her daughters had to go to a special shed for menstruation when they were unclean, right?
Yeah.
And she chose that. She chose that for herself.
Right. He
It's
probably
a
didn't even know
mystery.
about the red tents. She figured that out.
Yeah.
Was she raised in a family that
No.
also, what?
They worked at the John Deere plant in Waterloo, Iowa.
Oh, wow. They make a
They
great tractor, by the
radicalized.
way.
They do make a
Yeah,
great
really
tractor.
solid tractor. Okay, so maybe we could plot through. So as we already mentioned, your book, Bring the War Home, is taking us from Vietnam to the 90s. There's some critical parts of that or steps in that what we've already touched in, but can you kind of just give us an overview
Wait,
of
stop. I
that?
have to stop. Sorry, because I just had a realization.
Oh, great. Real-time realization.
Yeah.
Is it about Callie's chair?
No, but I am still thinking about that. No, I think when women have kids, something happens where the mama bear comes out and everything to protect that kid and the future of that child and the future of children in general.
What world they're inheriting.
What world they're inheriting. It's all similar language, which is fine. Normally it's good. Yeah. But I bet that's what's happening with the women in these.
I also want to add, I know some racist ass bitches from
home.
Of
course,
I know
me
some
too.
racist women.
Yeah, but it's just so easy for them to channel it into the future for their children that will make them think anything.
Part of what's going on for the women is that they, via this ideology, sit in an incredibly important position.
Yeah.
Because without the participation of women, you cannot create more white children.
Yeah.
Cannot do it. So that makes them, in some places,
powerful,
have
purposeful.
A ton of power.
Yeah.
And in other ways, not any power, right? Like it depends on which way it's running at a particular moment. But the other part to remember is the apocalypticness of this ideology is immediate threat. And it really is packaged as, if you do not take up arms, there will be no future for your people and your children.
Yeah. That's all a mom has to hear to get sort of involved.
It's like the end is imminent. You have to act yesterday.
The end is nigh.
Yeah.
You know, I just get really distracted by the topic of apocalypses because I think it's fascinating. An apocalyptic narrative can either inspire action or total inaction.
I do think apocalyptic thinking in general is a very human endeavor.
Yeah.
We're very susceptible to it, as we are susceptible to the belief in a God. I think this is one of our things that we always have to check ourselves against. And what I always think is my mind is, I saw it with Y2K. Oh my God, everything's going to melt. In my short lifetime of 47 years on a 4 billion-year-old planet, I've seen a lot of people think that the end was coming. And I've said to myself, there's a real arrogance to it, that this human experiment has been going on for 150,000 years, but you happen to be in the generation that's going to witness it disappear, or that the earth is going to be uninhabitable. It's been here for 5 billion years. We had CO2 levels 10x of what this was.
But also there was a long time without humans.
Absolutely. My point is, everyone who thinks they're going to witness it is a little arrogant. When you look at where we're at on a timeline, it has to be acknowledged that, yes, humans have been here for 150,000 years. Hominids have been here for 6 million years. Yeah. But us born in the 80s are going to witness the end of it all?
Yeah, I don't know if the thought so much is that we're going to witness it so much as it's coming and like your grandkids or grand whatever, they might witness it. And somebody will witness it. That is going to happen. Even when we had the paleontologist on, he was like, yeah, there's cycles.
Well, mammals may die out, for sure.
Right.
But I'm saying everyone right now who's certain that Y2K, they were going to witness the end of civilization, is pretty arrogant because there's been many, many years have passed and no one witnessed it. Everyone needs to check themselves on the left and the right.
Y2K is my favorite one. My students think Y2K is so cute. From here, it looks like such a nothing. But they were so worried about it. You remember.
Monica's mother was frantically working up till December 31st because she was a computer programmer.
Yeah. So I'm researching Colorado in the 90s right now. So they had every prison guard in the state of Colorado on duty in case all the doors flew open.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
And the Promise Keepers, the evangelical group, canceled their rally because they were pretty sure Jesus was going to come back for Y2K.
Right, of course.
And it goes on and on like this. And from here, my students are like, it's a very sweet apocalypse because nothing happens and nobody gets hurt. I think you're absolutely right that people have imagined that there was an imminent end of the world
from the get.
Yeah.
So I think in your book, Bring the War Home, I would imagine step one is recognizing this is a humongous thing that's not lone wolfy. It's not two knuckleheads. It's one big terrorist organization that works within cells. The cells could be Nazis. The cells could be sovereign citizens, whatever cell you're in. But globally, we have to go, no, we have a huge white power problem.
Yeah.
And we need to address it. How the fuck do we do that? What do we do?
The white power movement is what historians call transscalar, which just means it exists at a lot of different scales of activity. So it includes purportedly lone attacks. It also includes public actions like we saw in Charlottesville or like we see in a lot of Proud Boys actions, although those are tending toward the violent lately. And it's starting to include some crossover into our mainstream politics.
Mm-hmm.
All of those need different kinds of solutions. So I don't want just, say, a law about domestic terrorism, which is one thing that people talk about sometimes. I'm not super excited about that for a lot of historical reasons also, but I think what we need is a bunch of stuff. I think we need surveillance resources. I think we need different kinds of training in our DoD and law enforcement. I think we need some changes to law so that we can prosecute when we get the opportunity. We need to tell different stories about it in our newspapers. And, just on an individual level for people listening, just paying attention to it, I recognize is a huge ask because I feel like you just open your Twitter and it's like a fire hose of impossible information all the time.
Overwhelming.
But just reading those stories and trying to put them together is a huge step if folks are able to.
I follow this great rapper, Talib Kweli. He posted a video of them arresting, I want to say it was 21 white power dudes in the back of a U-Haul.
31.
31.
In Coeur d'Alene.
In Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah.
A U-Haul full of 31 dudes in military fatigues, and all they can really arrest them for at that point is being in a vehicle without a seatbelt.
Mm-hmm.
And I say to myself, there's got to be something more. If they had Al-Qaeda sweatshirts on, we'd have no problem.
We would have no problem. And I mean, there's a conversation to have about, should we be able to do that if they have Al-Qaeda sweatshirts on? Right? There's a question about kind of differential prosecution that I think is a valid question. And also, we do have some more information about that one, which is that they had a plan to violently confront a pride event in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. And we know that a couple days later, another group of folks, I forget which group, stormed a drag story time at a San Francisco public library and scared a bunch of kids. And so this is a coordinated thing. What we need is a way to think about it and talk about it as a coordinated thing. And that's not easy to do piecemeal, because even if you were just going to read every story about the Proud Boys, you're getting one tiny strand of this big tapestry of stuff. And we need to be following the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and Patriot Front and all of the subgroups and the people that aren't in a group but are affiliated, and the way that those groups are being called upon. And I don't know what the nature of this is. I think that is up to the people running the commission. But the January 6th commission is right now trying to tell us a story about whether our elected officials deliberately used those groups as shock troops in an anti-democratic action. We need to be following that story.
I listened to you speak on this in an interview. If you look at the Capitol riot/insurrection, I think that's interesting because the left's going to say insurrection, the right's going to say riot. And I would argue both things are true. Some people there were insurrectionists. Some people there were caught up in a riot.
Agree.
Yeah, and you point out there's a bunch of groups there.
Yeah, January 6th, we can understand as the collision of three different streams of political organizing. One is QAnon, which I think we should for now perhaps just set to the side. As a historian, I feel like it's too new for me to say anything about it.
Right.
This is a disciplinary thing where we get uncomfortable with things that are
Too present.
So it mobilizes old conspiracy theories, but it works very fast and very deep, and I think we will know more about it very soon. So QAnon, small, but let's set it to the side. And then there's sort of the Trump base, the Stop the Steal rally. And I think that that group is the biggest one, and that includes a spectrum of intensity, ranging from people that really wanted to deface some stuff to people who are just there to protest what they saw as an illegitimate election.
And witness this craziness and getting caught up in a big...
And got caught up in a swell.
Those people are there.
Yeah. The third stream is the one that I think we really need to pay attention to, because the people that got caught up, this is why they got ensnared. This third stream is the organized white power movement and the militant right.
Yes.
They're the smallest. They show up in tactical gear. Mm-hmm. You can see them. They are uniformed. They showed up with radios. They cased the site before they started. They went and figured out where to breach the building.
Yeah.
They led people to the breach.
Yeah.
That is
They're
different.
insurrectionists.
They are insurrectionists. Yeah. What they did is a attack on the functioning of our democracy. So if you're interested in democracy, right or left, reasonable people should be able to agree that that part is a problem.
Yeah. That's a coup.
That's a coup. And how other people get sucked into it can have fatal consequences.
Well, I said that right from the get-go. Right when I was watching, I was like, what is this group? I got one guy over here with a Jesus Saves poster. I got another guy anti-abortion. There's another person over here. It was a cornucopia of weird shit from my perspective.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the through line of what you're saying. It's all over. It's not just this one group or this one group. They have a running agenda that happens to overlap.
And the other thing to remember, and this has been true of the Klan since the 1920s, and it's true about white power now, It is fundamentally opportunistic, and it is
Right.
incredibly good at reading the room. So if you learned about the Klan in the 20s, this is the really big one. It got up to 4 million people and like 10% of the state of Indiana.
Wow.
And that Klan, if you learned about it in high school, you probably learned was anti-Black and anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic. It was also anti-immigrant in the Northeast, where there were a lot of immigrants, and anti-Mexican on the border, and anti-union in the Pacific Northwest, where they were having a bunch of union skirmishes. And it was anti-Catholic in Indiana, because Notre Dame University is in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
So it goes to the local community and picks up whatever handy scapegoat is available and uses that to recruit and radicalize. One. The second part of this opportunism has to do with how it presents itself. So if you look at women's Klan robes in the 20s, they're very fashion forward. A slim cut shows a little bit of ankle. They're using cultural forms to make themselves palatable. Same thing when we
Mainstream.
see the island print shirts for the Boogaloo Boys or the khakis and polos in Charlottesville. These are experimentations about what will work. And one lesson from Charlottesville, where we just got back a very large settlement in the civil suit about the people that organized that rally, is that the overt neo-Nazi and Klan stuff is being held up in courts of law as wrong, whereas the militia stuff is going through.
Yeah.
Right? So we had acquittals in the Whitmer thing. We had an acquittal in the Kenosha one.
We have some perverse thought that being armed is patriotic. It falls under this weird safety net of patriotism.
Yeah, well, and there's a reason for that having to do with the militia stuff particularly. But so what we saw on January 6th, with a few notable exceptions, mostly it was not swastikas and Confederate flags. Mostly it was don't tread on me and militia stuff, right? Because the movement has figured out that that is what will work right now. So militias is tricky.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Thank you to our presenting sponsor, HP, for supporting this episode. Parents, you've got enough on your back-to-school list right now. Ink cartridges do not need to be on it. They just don't. The HP Smart Tank printer uses a refillable ink tank and comes with up to 3 years of ink included. It's the last printer you'll ever need. To learn more, search HP Smart Tank.
This episode is supported by Helix.
So I've had my Helix mattress for a few years now, and I still love it just as much as the first night. That says a lot because a good night's sleep is very important to me.
Sleep is everything. And what's great about Helix is that it's not a guessing game with finding the right mattress, because they have over 20 models, so you can find the one that actually fits how you sleep. And with that summer heat upon us, Helix has cooling upgrades that can get you the best rest even on hot nights.
I have a Helix Midnight Luxe mattress. I really like the level of firmness it has, but that might not be right for you. They have so many options, and you just go take the quiz and it is perfectly matched for your needs, which is incredible. I also highly, highly recommend the cooling upgrade, especially in the summer. It makes your sleep so much better. If you're still tossing and turning on a mattress that's not working for you, just trust us on this one.
Go to helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/armchair for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/armchair. We are supported by Auto Trader. All right, if you've been putting off car shopping because it sounds like a whole thing, buying your car online on Auto Trader makes it way easier, really. You can shop tons of cars online, compare prices, check financing and trade-in options, all from wherever you are. And if you want to start online and go to the dealership for a test drive, you can do that too, really. What I like is the flexibility. Start online, finish at the dealer, or the other way around. Your info stays with you, so you're not starting the process from scratch. Plus, you're working with local dealer listings, so you've got real people helping behind the scenes. And when you're ready, you can pick up your car or have it delivered. Really. Buy your car online on Auto Trader. Really.
We get support from Skims. Oh man, do I love Skims. I've been living in the Skims lightweight cotton collection all summer, and I have to tell you, getting dressed has become so easy. I just throw it on. It just feels right immediately, whether I'm grabbing coffee or I'm on the couch all day or I'm out, even going to dinner. The cotton is so lightweight and breathable, which in this heat is a non-negotiable. The cotton jersey t-shirt, I just need everyone to know about this one. This one hugs in all the right places. It's very soft and it still looks and fits the same after months of washing, which is very hard to do, I feel, with t-shirts. I've been wearing the black cotton jersey t-shirt with basically everything all summer long. It goes great with any patterned skirt or shorts or pants. I mean, anything truly. I believe that's probably my favorite piece from the cotton collection, but they also have great lightweight cotton thongs that are so comfortable and they're cute. That is a very, very hard mix to achieve, especially with undergarments. I feel if you can find some that are cute, but also comfortable and do the job, that is a win. And Skims has really, really figured that out with the lightweight cotton collection. Shop Skims cotton and all of my favorite pieces at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select Armchair Expert in the drop-down menu that follows.
Militias have a special place in American history because of their role in the American Revolution. As we know.
Don't tread on me. That's where it
Don't
comes
tread
in.
on me. And also Lexington and Concord and the role that the private soldier, that the citizen was going to be a citizen soldier and going to be part of this democracy via their combat. This is attached to the Second Amendment. This is attached to how people think about gun rights. And it's attached to how people think about popular sovereignty and their own ownership of the country in ways that I would not undermine. It's an important strand in who we are.
For sure.
But militias are tricky because they were incorporated into National and State Guard units in 1903. So after 1903, all of the constitutional militia activity is in National and State Guard units. Everything else is a unlawful private army.
Right, right.
All 50 states have laws on the books against militia activity in one way or another. Whether it is things like you cannot form and march a private army or you cannot parade in public with firearms, there's different ways that they did it. But all 50 states prohibit private armies.
Why on earth are they so then prevalent and accepted?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Well, I think also we have an obsession with self-defense. We all feel like I should be able to defend myself. Kenosha, all of that. That was the main defense.
Yeah, the idea of self-defense is an interesting one. It's changed a lot in the last 30 years or so. So the advent of open carry legislation and stand your ground laws, which is sort of the legal basis for using a firearm if someone is on your property. And then different states have done things like extend stand your ground laws to self-defense, like while you're not in your house, just out and about. There was one that I thought was interesting. I think this was in Colorado. They did an open carry law that made it so that University of Colorado couldn't ban carrying weapons. And I wanted to know, could I ban them on my syllabus? I can ban cell phones. I can ban laptops. But anyway, but I don't teach there, so it's kind of a non-issue.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? These articulations about where the gun is within
But that
our sense of
succeeded. They made
ourselves.
it illegal for them to ban firearms on the campus of a college.
I think that was the Colorado Supreme Court decision. You'll have to go look and fact check and see if I'm right about that one.
Yeah.
Not sending my kid to that college, I don't think.
Well, there's a lot of places where guns are seen as sort of part of the fabric of the community.
Well, that's its own thing. Militias.
Yes.
So I think that's very polarizing, personally. When did they have their explosion of popularity? Post-Vietnam as well?
No. So the first big militia movement is in the 90s, the early 90s. And it's partly reactive to the Randy Weaver, Ruby Ridge, Waco set of events we talked about.
Yeah.
It's also reactive to gun control legislation that came through at the same time. So it's the, I think,
Assault weapons
1994,
ban.
yeah. It's the omnibus crime bill that comes through. And it's an interesting bill in that people on the left and the right really did not like that one.
Right. Ended up criminalizing black folks.
Criminalizing
terribly,
black
yeah.
folks through mandatory minimums, but also banning a lot of assault weapons.
Yeah. It was a loss for both sides and a win for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People in the right more generally react very strongly to federal limits on gun ownership. So the militias, which called themselves the Patriot Movement, became popular right around that same time. And one of the interesting things I found in Bring the War Home is that people usually have talked about that as a separate thing from the paramilitary right that I was looking at in the 80s. But really, it's more that if we had a Venn diagram of the militias, big circle, and the white power movement, smaller circle, there's some militia activity that's not in the white power movement, but the white power movement would be almost entirely inside of the militias.
I got you.
Even the militias that were not openly racist were going to the same events and marching shoulder to shoulder and going to the same gun shows.
Yeah,
and
grabbing a coffee afterwards.
grabbing a coffee. Yeah, so there's at least some social overlap there. Furthermore, the white power movement had amassed some pretty serious money and weapons and tactical training in the 80s. That all flowed into the militias. So if we want to draw a line, I mean, it goes directly from the founding of the white power movement into the militias and the Oklahoma City bombing and then forward into the present. There's never really been a stop to this activity.
There's all laws, though, on the books. Have any of these been tried in the Supreme Court and overturned or anything?
So we've had some big trials. In 1988, the government, they did a big seditious conspiracy case against people in the white power movement. And seditious conspiracy means they needed to prove that there was a conspiracy, so people in contact with a plan to violently overthrow the government. Now, that is what they were doing. That's what they said they were doing. They had been working on it since 1983 at least. They had declared war. They had talked to each other. They had wiretaps. They had all kinds of interpersonal communications. Oh, they also went online in 1984 in an early computer networked message board system called LibertyNet, where they could communicate about assassination targets and also share personal ads and things like that. So proto-Facebook.
Sell some old cars and farm equipment.
Yeah, so all of this is on the books. And they were outfitted, although the jurors didn't see it. The sedition trial had a list of armament that was not just the usual. So the usual we would expect to find AR-15s and M16 semi-automatics. They also had things like anti-tank guns, surface-to-air capability. They were trying to get the kind of missile that would take down a helicopter.
RPG?
Yeah, RPGs. And they had a bunch of homemade stuff that I personally would not want to be homemade, like landmines and napalm. I think maybe we should not make it home.
Well, just think the Timothy McVeigh bomb was enormous and
handmade. Yeah. So the sedition trial did not work. Huge failure. The Justice Department put so much into this, too. It was a whole bunch of smaller trials in the 80s. They had taken plea bargains, trying to get testimony that would put together this big win. And instead, they were all acquitted. And the headline was Jubilant Racists Win Trial. The photo was Louis Beam holding his young wife in his arms. The photo is amazing. I teach it to my students. She has no shoes. I don't know why. She's wearing a long white dress. She's got her blonde hair like flowing over his arm. It could be a still from Birth of a Nation. Yeah. It's one of those evocative images.
I would imagine the issue is I just know nothing about it would be when you do this with a mafia organization, it's kind of easy because there is a boss. There's no great hierarchy that everyone agrees on. Is that the problem?
That's part of the problem. So part of it is leaderless resistance, which is just cell-style terrorism. The idea is that one or a few people can work in a cell without communication with other cells and without direct orders or communication with leadership. And they were doing that, and that was very effective for them in this trial. There were some other things, though. So including, but not limited to, 2 jurors had romantic relationships with defendants during the trial, which I think we can all agree is not an impartial jury.
Yeah.
Okay. So they weren't sequestered, obviously. They were just kind of...
Well, they were pen pals.
Oh, my goodness.
What a love story.
What a love story.
How'd you and Dad meet? Oh, he was being tried.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That should be one of our Armchair Anonymous prompts. Have you ever fallen in love with a prisoner?
Oh, yeah. Or a white power.
No, I don't want to know those
people.
There might be some crossover. Anyway.
There might be some crossover. Yeah, they had other trouble too, though. Chain of custody stuff. So Louis Beam was on the lam to Mexico. He was on the FBI most wanted list. And when they arrested him, all of the stuff he had with him, which included stuff about falsifying his identification, faking his own death, a bunch of other incredibly damning evidence. None of it was admissible because it was collected by the Mexican police officers and they didn't follow chain of custody rules. And his young wife, Sheila Beam, was showing up in court doing this incredibly interesting and damaging performative martyrdom. Here she is in pain. Here she is in a roughly white dress. There were all these stories about Sheila that didn't even mention what Louis was on trial for. So the narratives were working in their favor in a whole lot of different ways. And then they all represented themselves, which was...
They love to do that.
It was a big mess, and it sure makes them look disorganized.
Yeah.
Which is helpful in a sedition trial, right?
But it worked.
It worked. He talked about how he was a patriot and no one who had ever served in war could possibly be a traitor to their country.
Well, listen, if your narrative is I'm the lone citizen the Constitution is supposed to protect. Actually, bringing in a lawyer is antithetical to that story.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm such a simple man. I don't even have a lawyer. I'm just here to tell you the truth.
Right. Well, and it makes them look like a bunch of disorganized guys, which is what they're trying to show, is that they're a bunch of disorganized guys, right?
Right.
So it was an acquittal. They even returned all the weapons to them at the end of the trial.
Oh, even the anti-tank stuff. My Lord. Okay, I find this to be one of the more fascinating topics ever.
This whole thing?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy to me. Maybe because I watched those skinheads, in the mosh pit and the many fights that followed. But you said we got to talk about it. That was one of the steps in confronting this.
Yes.
In addition to us confronting it and talking about it and learning what the story is that they're telling so we can counteract it, what other things do you think need to happen?
So I think being able to tell a history of what has happened in our country, both in the recent past and in the more distant past, is critical for being able to move forward in a less polarized society. And wanting to learn and talk about history is something that is often attributed to the left.
Yeah.
But it strikes me that even Make America Great Again is an argument about history. It's about periodization. When was it great? Who is it great for? Who's included? What is it? Can it be done again? Should we do it again? That's a call to talk about history. I'm aware that I'm a historian, and when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. But I really think that having a big conversation about our nation's history together would open the door to a lot of positive change.
I guess their argument, if I could put on their hat for a second, their argument would be, we have history. You want to rewrite it and show a different version of it. And we're opposed to this new version. We have our history. Slavery ended. It's all good. You're taking down our statues, so you're trying to remove the history that was already written and replace it with now your left-wing history.
Well, I'm trying to have a conversation about history. I'm not interested in one story of history from either side. I would like to have a conversation about history. And I think that dialogue is where the truth probably lives. There's a really amazing book that just came out a couple years ago about the way that we have argued about history. And it shows that people who were creating Jim Crow wrote a really specific version of the history of Reconstruction that would enable Jim Crow. And then people who were fighting the civil rights movement wrote a really specific version of the history of Jim Crow that would prop up segregation. And this happens on a cyclical basis. We're always rewriting and reinterpreting and re-understanding. But we also have a whole bunch of thinking skills that come from knowing our history that are applicable to other parts of our society. And we have a whole bunch of evidence to look at. Learning our history isn't about levying a verdict or making anybody feel terrible or besmirching people's family stories. People love history when it's their family tree, right?
Yeah.
People want to know where they came from and what that is.
I would argue there's an anthropological approach to it, which is you're learning it for the sake of learning it, not to declare a verdict, not
Just
to render a
objectively.
judgment. You're just learning. Why did they do this? Why do they do that?
Because I think that what is in that story is not about a political judgment. It's about a capacity of thinking that is more open and has more options for the future. And from where I'm sitting, we need more options. We need to stretch the limits of our social imaginary so that we can have some more choices and some more ways to come together.
Well, I'd also argue it's data for us in the same way that we're excited that they've cracked the human genome. We're excited about CRISPR. We're excited about learning daily how the insides of our bodies work.
Yeah.
That's of great fascination to us. We can see the application of that. We're excited by understanding ourselves biochemically better.
Yeah.
Recorded history is, 5,000 years old? There's 5,000 years of data of how we are. We're not unique to anyone at any other period. This is humans doing human shit. This is what we've done. It is an exploration of what we are.
I like American history because we live in this place that has made this radical set of promises about life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. And it is absolutely not controversial among historians for me to tell you that was never meant for me.
Or Monica, or a black person.
It was meant for wealthy, white, property-owning men who were living there at the time that it was written. That is not that many people who are in our nation now. And over time, there have been movements of people who have organized and demanded inclusion in that category. And then, of course, there's pushback, but then we open it up more.
Yep.
That is such a hopeful story to me.
Oh, totally.
It's a hopeful thing to read. It's not about hating America or something.
No.
It's about whether we can make good on that radical idea.
Yes. And also, we're free to acknowledge along the way that we've made great, great strides in that. Half the people that wrote that thing own many human beings. We've come quite far from that. It's not like it's over, but it's a story of triumph and defeat and everything. And the whole thing's there.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you're married. Currently, at night, my routine is I watch about 25 minutes of the Benjamin Franklin, Ken Burns documentary. And then right when I'm getting sleepy, I switch over to Audible to the Ron Chernow, George Washington.
Oh, nice.
Wouldn't you love to be my mate at night? I mean, doesn't this seem like your dream husband, that all I do is consume boring history every night?
My husband is also consuming boring history every night.
Cool. Maybe I should hang with him, too.
Do you know what I did for my students at the end of the year this year? Okay, this was my last year at U Chicago, where famously fun goes to die. And we needed to have a fun moment for the history nerds who'd finished their history thing. So we got a Lincoln impersonator.
Oh, really?
It was so fun, though, because he knows a lot. I had not totally anticipated how much he was going to get grilled, but he got grilled and he knows a lot about the makeup of the Supreme Court and how everything worked and how Lincoln patented an invention about boats and canals. When you get into the deep life of any one person, I think it's super interesting.
Why didn't you have a Rockefeller impersonator? That's his college.
Oh, that would be cool. I'll tell you, it's easy to find a Lincoln impersonator in Illinois.
I will put on a bald cap and old makeup.
Yeah, I was about to say, it'd be a good job for you because that's a hard job to be an actor, essentially.
Yeah.
And smart. You have to have a good knowledge of history.
And you have to have the correct cut of the jaw.
Yes.
He was great.
And he had that great disease. I know the name of it, but it's escaping me right now, where your aorta, they say his aorta would have exploded.
Oh, Marfan's?
Yeah,
Did he have
Marfan's. He had
syndrome?
Marfan's, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I was saying. Anthropologists say. The forensic osteologists and many people have declared his hands. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
clues.
he did have like the really long fingers.
Yeah, real gaunt and all this. So they say his aorta would have exploded on him shortly thereafter. If that's
Really?
any comfort to anyone, I don't know if it will be. But did this guy have Marfan's disease?
I don't know.
Okay.
I hope
I thought for a minute I had it. When I was learning about Lincoln having it, I'm like, I think I would check yes to all those.
Oh, yeah, like the long fingers.
Yeah, all the phenotypical attributes of Marfan's. Kathleen, it was an incredible time talking to you about this.
Very
I wish you would party at Northwestern. You've gone now where fun is born and perpetuated.
That's where you're going.
I'm very excited. We're working on building history of the present. So I want to work with journalism students about asking historically informed questions in their reporting. And then I want to work with historians about how to talk better publicly about what we're doing.
Nice.
Yeah, you need a rebranding. History seems old.
We're very fun.
It has an oldness because it is old. Because that's the whole
Yeah.
point of it. Because
Yeah.
history's old, and then we think old.
I know. But see, almost everything I study is Vietnam War forward, which
Which is pretty new.
to my parents, for instance, they're like, that's history?
Right.
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
I just taught a history class on 9/11 because my students don't remember 9/11.
Oh,
You have to go back
wow.
and relearn all this stuff.
Yeah, so many babies. when that
History's now.
happened.
History's now.
Go ahead, hit her with your favorite saying.
History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes.
Ooh, I like that.
Thank you.
You've
He
heard
hates it.
that,
I didn't
right?
hear that one.
You've never heard that?
You only heard it for the first time a couple months ago.
But I'm not a history professor.
Well, now I'm going to say it a lot. So thanks.
Please do.
It doesn't
Yeah.
repeat, it rhymes. It's very abstract. I mean, I can piece it together. It's just not easy for me. My own family, and I think it's great for smart people like you. It makes sense right away. Doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I think this is such a huge, much bigger than anyone would guess topic with incredible history. And I hope everyone checks out Bring the War Home, the White Power Movement in Paramilitary America. Kathleen, thank you so much for coming. This was really, really fun and interesting and informative.
Thank you for having me. It
You're
was
welcome.
really fun.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
We are supported by HP. If you're a parent or you know one, like I do, or you can help take care of kids, you already know what August feels like. It's not summer anymore, it's the pregame. The supplies list, the forms, the we need this printed by tomorrow texts that come in at 9 p.m. And I say this as someone who's been on the receiving end of those texts in a former life. You're ready to help, and then the printer says no, out of ink, blinking at you, useless. It's such a small thing, but it will absolutely derail your night. So when I heard about the HP Smart Tank printer from HP, America's most trusted printer brand, I thought this is the kind of thing that actually makes life easier, not in a big flashy way, in a one less crisis way. Instead of those little cartridges that run out the second you need them, the HP Smart Tank uses refillable ink tanks, and it comes with up to 3 years of ink included. 3 years. That's 3 back-to-school seasons without the cartridge panic. HP can't fill out the forms for you, but they can make sure the printer is never the reason you're up past midnight. Search HP Smart Tank.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm catching you right before you leave on a big trip.
Yeah, it's a sad, happy trip. I mean, it's happy because it's a trip.
Because trips are happy.
Yeah, exactly. But we're splitting because you guys are going on a fun European vacation, and so you guys aren't coming, and it's sad.
And happy because they're both trips.
Yeah.
We had what a great record yesterday, huh?
We had a really fun guest, yeah.
That was like reinvigorating, recharging. Because what was that, 3 hours?
It was a 3 hour. We have not had that in so long. It was
Do you think we should
fun.
do 2 parts, part 1 and 2?
Oh, it's up to you.
We've never done 1 and 2.
Well, let me see how it
Edits
I don't
together.
think there's that. I mean, but yeah, we'll see.
Everything will be revealed later.
We'll see.
In TBD.
One thing, I had a revelation. I texted you
About
last night because we love Cherry Garcia so much.
Yes.
We talk about how much we love it, and we found it on an airplane.
And just to remind people, the best part of it was the reveal. It was the trick ending. We thought we hated it.
Exactly.
We only ate it in desperation on the airplane.
Yeah, they gave it to us. Fine, we'll eat it. Turns out we love it.
It turns out it was our favorite. It seems too simple and boring. Cherries and vanilla ice cream.
And chocolate, though.
Oh, chocolate chunks.
That part's
CC's. But then you realized last night that cherry, this is the part that confuses me. Did you just realize there was cherries in it last night?
No.
Oh, okay.
I knew there was cherries in it.
Okay, good.
But I didn't put 2 and 2 together that's extra meaningful to us.
Yes.
That we like Cherry Garcia.
Yes. Armchair Garcia. Should we pitch, well, we're doing it now, I guess, Ben and or Jerry, if you're listening.
Limited run?
Limited run of Armchair Garcia.
And then we'd add one more piece to make it limited. What will we add?
Our DNA. We'll spit in every batch.
Oh, my God.
Or put one of your hair follicles in every batch.
Ew, well,
Yeah.
so you can poop it out like you did that one time. Okay, and are there any updates on your European wardrobe that you're collecting?
Oh, great prompt. Well, before I say that, huge relief this morning. I thought because I was able to secure tickets to the Austin Grand Prix and Miami, they won't be an issue when I try to hit this Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. That'll be a cinch.
Easy.
I've been working for 3 months to get us tickets. It's so sold out, and it's so hard, and there's no lodging within 90 miles of the track.
Oh, no.
So anyways, with the great grace of Williams, the race team, they got Chris and I and the girls tickets. So I'm so delighted we're going to be in the Williams box, and we're going to get to go be in the pits with the Williams team and everything, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And then was like, well, what about the fucking Richardsons? Like, well, we're just going to, sorry guys, we're going,
Yeah.
But just today, F1, Formula One, got back to us and said, we found 4 more, so now we can all go.
Yay.
Because the entire trip, just to remind you, was literally built around this race. I'm like, I really want to go to this race, but it's selfish, so let's do a family trip around it.
Yeah.
Convince the Richardsons that they should go to a race.
Yeah.
And then guess what? No race. For the last couple months, no race, after the plane tickets were bought. Anyways, today was a great relief this morning.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I almost felt like I could go to sleep for the next 2 days over it.
You earned it.
And then, yes, thank you. Wardrobe.
Yeah.
Next item of business.
Yeah.
I've been knowing we're going to be in Europe for almost 3 weeks, which is incredible. Worry not, there'll be no interruption in this show.
Worry not.
Yeah. Well, we'll be recording abroad. We'll be connecting. And I want some loose, some lighter pant wear.
Yeah.
With a Euro vibe.
Yeah.
So I've been trying out a bunch of different chino variety slacks, I guess, for lack of a better. Trousers, khakis, but not khakis. Khakis makes me think of Dockers. No shade, but
Not cat. I'm not going to call them khakis.
They're just trousers.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been sampling a few, and I'm going to give some shout outs because there's some I really like. The
Okay.
marine layers I really like.
We love marine
We do,
layer.
and you know the light blue ones I have, they're drawstring. All these are drawstring too. Let me add.
Very comfortable.
And then I thought, by the way, I'm throwing Hail Mary passes because the trip is here. So
Yeah.
I'm on Todd Snyder, my addiction.
Yeah, you love.
And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are these summer pants? So very similar to the Marine layer, but then the bottom is elastic, or what would you call that?
Oh, cuffed.
But tight.
Okay, yep.
So you can almost wear it as a capri.
Like it's a jogger.
It's a jogger. It's a capri. It's a clam digger.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's a word?
You know clam diggers. Ooh, clam diggers would be clams' penises. Clam dingers.
Oh, yeah.
Clam diggers are the original floods or short pants, capris. Oh. That come up mid-calf. Because when you're digging for clams, you don't want to get the bottom of your slacky trousers wet.
I see. There's also another word for them.
Shit diggers.
No.
Mud hoggers.
No. Junkos? Nope.
Oh, Junko, she's an incredible masseuse.
I know. She's so booked up.
She's an incredible massage therapist.
That's right. We learned something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, whatever. Back to your slacks.
Okay, so I got the Schneidys, and they arrived. This is what's scary and irresponsible. I just found those. I was like, I don't have time to order a pair, see if I like them, and then get more. So I just went all in. I got 5 pairs. They're not cheap. Yeah. They're way more than I spend on pants. I want to say either $180 to $280.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's nice, but it's not like $7,000.
No, they're not.
They're not Dolce or Gabbana.
Yeah, they're not Gabbans or Dolce. So they arrived,
okay.
I guess, on Monday, 5 different colors. And I wore the first pair 2 days ago. And I was like, wow, these are incredible.
You loved them.
I loved them. Then, as you saw, you've seen me in both looks. Then I went to a green. The first day was like either a dark blue or black. I can't tell the difference. Definitely yesterday was like a military green. You remember? You don't remember them. Now God. I remember all your outfits. I put a good effort into your outfits.
I do too.
You think I'm into outfits?
Yeah, obviously.
Oh, well, I'm newly into outfits.
I am always into your outfits, but we were hurried yesterday.
Yeah, we only had 3 hours to look at each other.
We were looking
3
at our
short
guests.
hours. He looked, well, you know what it was? I got outshined so big time. He looked incredible.
True. But really this is what happened. I was already up here. You came in with him. So it wasn't like we had any time up front to chit-chat.
Right.
And then
you left while I was still talking to him.
Exactly. So that's why. Otherwise, I totally would have noticed Army Green.
Okay, they're great. And there's still 2 inbound. Those, I hope, are going to make it right before I leave, because that could also... But anyways, you can see me. I'll be going around Italy. Hey, buongiorno! Oh, that's not even... Pronto! And I'll be in my thin capris. And where's the pasta? Baked ziti. Bolognese.
I can't.
We should warn the people of Italy I'm coming.
Oh my God. You're turning into me.
Yeah.
You're ordering clothes that are coming last minute. It's very scary. You might have to Uber
Put the
them.
slacks on a flight.
Exactly. You'll have to leave, and then you're going to have to Uber somebody to the airport with your pants, and you're gonna put them on the flight.
And then find somebody on TaskRabbit that's willing to fly to Italy.
Yep, exactly. Speaking of that, I have a shirt that's arriving any minute now.
Oh my God, before your trip.
Well,
are you going to derail your trip over it?
I don't know. I consider, should I drive by the
Just check.
apartment just to
Just
see?
a check. Oh, I know what the important update is.
Okay.
We all went to Nora Jones.
Huge update. What are we talking about?
I know, all that shit. Cut it all. None of that belongs in
That's
here.
really important.
The main thing is, it was a double whammy. There's 2 phases to this story.
Yeah.
We started by eating at Mess Hall.
Yeah.
Where we saw our buddy Andrew Pack.
That's right.
And Andrew had then heard that we love him.
Yes. We shouted him out. We're shouting him out again.
Yeah, so he was pumped, and we were double pumped.
Yeah.
We saw Terry Crews in the lobby.
Oh, yeah, your old friend.
Yes, he happened to be at Mess Hall.
Yeah.
Hug, hug, hug. I'm feeling his muscles. I like to think he was feeling mine.
Yeah, you guys looked, I got a spike of anxiety because you popped up and you went over there and you guys were hugging.
I basically tackled him. He didn't see me coming. Is that what you mean?
No. I just got anxiety because, you guys are huge and you're celebrities. And I was like, oh my God, everyone is
They're making
looking
too big of a
now.
scene.
Yeah, and then I just got anxious for you. Like, oh no, now everyone knows. They probably already did. But,
yeah,
I just got anxious.
I'm in a real good phase of that.
Good.
Yeah.
You don't care.
Which is so much more enjoyable than not being in a good space with it.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. Andrew Pack.
Yeah, we love him.
And I found him on Instagram, and I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I followed him. I hope people follow him.
I do too. Andrew Pack.
He really is. He's so lovely.
He
We love
is.
him.
He's very Michigan.
Yeah.
No?
Well, I mean, yeah, and the fact that he's like cool and down to earth.
Yeah, he's like I hate these terms.
What?
He's like super masculine.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
He was a football player. He's
Yeah.
got a big rugged beard. And then he's super nice and
Yeah.
inviting and
That's true.
kind.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he sends us biscuits.
He sent us some biscuits.
Yeah.
And then I was upset because he should know I'm gluten-free.
Yeah, and then Kristen made the point they were for me.
Yeah, that's right. Which was the right point to make.
Yeah.
And I stand by all of it. Okay.
Anyway,
Oh, and then we go to the concert.
Yes.
The Greek Theater. If you're ever in Los Angeles and you have an opportunity to see a concert at the Greek Theater, do not miss it.
It's so special.
There's
there.
not a more enchanting venue in California that I know of.
I agree. Enchanted.
The Bowl is very enchanted too. It's a very romantic place, the Hollywood Bowl.
It is.
I love it. When you're in there, there's a palpable vibe at the Bowl, but it is enormous. It's like 5 times the size.
Exactly.
So the Greek is like contained.
Yeah. Intimate.
And what I wanted to tell everyone was like, look around. We're all on a raft. Like, look at this raft we're all in. Because you're in a little bowl.
Yeah.
It's just this raft of seats and then nature.
Well, I guess it's like a ramen bowl. Like
Yeah,
you
poke.
could say we're like a. Everyone
that's
look
racist.
around. Why?
I can't say ramen bowl.
Why?
I can only say like white person.
we eat no.
thing.
No.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say. I can say like, you're a bowl of pasta. Hey, pronto.
You can't say that. You're not Italian.
Buongiorno.
No, we're in a really warm ramen bowl.
What was it, kimchi? Is that too much?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
A ramen bowl is warm,
noodly.
and yeah, there's noodles and broth,
Salty.
and
Broths?
broths and broths. Oh my God! Somebody, because I posted a picture of the concert, and somebody said, "I was there. We saw you guys. You missed the brawl above you, or something like
Do you think that was all that chit chat?
Maybe. There was a chit chat time.
There was a shit show, is what it was.
And I guess it was a brawl
that makes sense.
at a Nora Jones concert.
I know, guys. You're at the wrong brand. You're off brand. But okay, back to the Greek. The sun is setting. She warms up for herself with her bar band.
Yeah, and sorry guys, that's the only time she's doing it was that one.
Puss in Boots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she was here for the first time, she did a cover of a Dolly Parton song.
Yeah.
And so I just like listened to that on repeat. I love that song.
Okay, the Greek. Snafu, fist fight, bummer. But while that was happening and all these people were talking, you hear all these voices.
Yes.
I was like, this is so disrespectful. And this
Yeah.
is my friend.
Yeah.
I wonder how I would have felt normally.
Yeah. It was weird.
It was weird,
Yeah.
and I was agitated.
Yeah.
And I think I would have been agitated, but I was then defensive and protective of our friend.
Of course.
And also overwhelmed with gratitude. I wasn't close enough to get involved.
I'm so glad you didn't.
I was like, good, this is so far away from me. It's
Yeah.
not my job to control that thing, because I would have had to have.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Puss in Boots.
Yeah, Puss in Boots, and then they sang the
Played your
song
favorite
that I
Dolly
loved.
song.
And then Nora's was one of my all-time faves. I love her so much. She just transports you.
The sun was setting, the outline on the ridge of all the different native California trees, the palm trees and everything. It was so enchanted.
It was.
Yeah. Ooh.
Sunrise, one of my top 5 of all time.
I was radiating goosebumps.
I know.
I was just like, I was euphoric.
That was the first song she played. Dolly had its own like special thing. But when she started playing Sunrise, I was like, it like really transported me back to when I was
traveled.
I was young. I was just a little baby.
Little tiny little girl.
And I was so moved by that song. And I would just listen. It was so romantic to me. And like, oh my God. And then I was just like filled with gratitude that I was seeing it live. Like I never thought about how I'm not a concert goer, really.
Right. And I'm not huge either. I'm in the middle of the spectrum. I got to
Yeah.
really love a thing because I'm a little overwhelmed with the amount of time it's going to be.
Same. And
I feel a little
the
trapped.
logistics.
The logistics, that feeling of being like, oh, what if I want to leave? This anxiety that I might want to leave and I can't.
Yeah, so I don't normally go, and then
I don't normally go to concerts, but when I do, it's Norah Jones.
That's really the truth. And
Or
I
Avett
was like,
Brothers.
oh, I get it. I get why people like have to go to concerts.
Yeah, I wish you were sitting next to me because at the peak of my euphoria, I had the thought, some of the monkeys make noise.
I thought about the aliens.
Some of the aliens are watching. Some of the monkeys make noise out of their body, and the other monkeys come and just stare and let that noise make them feel a certain way. What a wonderful thing the monkeys do when they do that. That must be so confusing to the aliens.
Of
It's like,
course.
why are all those monkeys gathered there? And they're all sitting like really, they're generally not this well behaved either.
Well, until the brawl, they're like,
Well,
oh, yeah,
there
there they
they
go.
But yeah, they're all sitting, like everyone's being respectful. And then one of the monkeys comes out and makes a noise out of her body.
Yeah. The aliens, I feel like, pulled up a chair for that concert. Like, they liked it.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Even if it was their first time hearing music, I think they could
were
see
enchanted
the
by it.
harmony that existed from the one monkey making the noises and the other monkey smiling.
And I said this in the car after. Nora, because we now know her, which is insane, she's like my size. She's tiny.
Yes.
And her presence in life is small.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not like,
She's shy. She's like,
exactly.
Yeah.
She's not like trying to take up all the energy or
she's not a
anything.
Dax Shepard type. She's not a human megaphone.
No. It made it all that more amazing to see
I agree.
that small person, doing this, like
Yeah.
captivating an enormous crowd. I don't know. I was just, oof, this is so special.
It is. Yeah, like when James Hetfield lets it rip in Metallica, you're kind of like, yeah, that guy's a Viking. Like,
Right.
But it's the same level of power coming out of this little pint size. How much do you think about her being Indian when you're watching her?
I thought it a few times. I told Molly. She
Oh,
didn't
you
know.
did? Oh, yeah.
So I felt proud of that.
I was thinking a lot about her Indianness.
Yeah. I know sometimes I'm like, she's kind of my, like,
Soul sister?
yeah. And then I was like, am I not allowed to say that? But I think I am.
Why?
I don't know.
Oh, because soul is the, like, you were going to say that exact thing.
I was.
Soul sister. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
I know. Yeah, I
Like Bill
feel
Murray's soul.
like maybe in another life we were like related or something.
Sisters, one a once in a lifetime podcaster and the other a once in a lifetime singer. The parents would be so proud. They'd be doing Indian backflips, whatever version you guys do there.
But and then also I was looking at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
What do they call
Monitor.
that? Jumbotron. Monitor.
Yeah, Jumbotron.
I was looking at her face. I just was transported back to the cover of her first album, and she's so young.
I know you add in the youth to the original mix of
But she's
Shining.
still doing it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cool.
I'm just saying, imagine, I think it would be, like, at least now she's like an established woman.
Yeah.
But imagine seeing all that come out of her at like 24 years old, and you add in how young she was. That must have been just like, how is it? What's going on? How's
Yeah, I know.
this little creature so powerful, this little monkey?
Yeah, this monkey is very powerful.
Mm.
Yeah, but I was just like, women are awesome.
Yeah, they are. And they're terrible, just like men. But
Well,
they're
you don't
awesome.
have to say that part.
You're right.
Anyway, that was so fun. I'm so glad we went.
It was so fun, and it just was like, this is probably no one's business, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways.
Yeah.
You know, I have this kind of, I hate even saying it out loud because I don't want to be held accountable to it, but I have a fantasy of myself at 50 years old where I don't put anything into my body. That I'm just fine as a human on planet Earth, that I don't need anything.
What do you mean?
That means I don't need nicotine. I don't need
I see.
caffeine. I don't need anti-inflammatories. I don't need SSRI inhibitors.
Got it.
I don't need anything. I'm fine to just exist on this planet.
Okay.
This is a goal for me. I don't recommend it to anyone, and I'm not judgmental of anyone. So in kind of sight of that, as you know, I've already backed off the caffeine
Yes.
profoundly. So about 3 weeks ago, I went from, I'm on, I don't even know how many milligrams of Zoloft, but let's say I think it's 100. So the pill, I cut a quarter off. And so for 2 weeks, I was on 3/4 of my dose. And then when I went to Nashville, I then went down to half. And look, I don't have a position on this at all.
Yeah.
This is just what's happening with me.
Yeah.
And I remember this when I first went on antidepressants, like probably 5 years ago or something. I remember like, my smell's not as good as it was. Like I had a very, very acute smell. I can tell you exactly what happened. I took Lincoln to Asheville, North Carolina. I've been there a bunch of times. I know what it feels like there.
Yeah.
I have a very visceral feeling. And we're in this little river. She's playing with a bottle, filling it up with sand. I'm sitting on a rock watching this little girl who's so beautiful. And the trees are green. And I know what it's supposed to smell like there. And it was a little dulled. I remember coming home and telling the psychiatrist, like, I don't know if I like this because it was a little dulled. But at the same time, at that point in my life, I was like trying to get chips made. I was very stressed out. I couldn't sleep. I had a lot of anxiety when I was asleep. So I was like, well, whatever. I'm going to have to roll with that because sleep's the number one ingredient I have to have. I don't have that much stress in my life anymore. At that concert, I was very aware of how many sensations I had in my body. I welled up like 3 times. I had so many goosebumps and waves of kind of light euphoria. And I think it's intermixed with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. It's just an update.
Yeah.
It's not good or bad or anything. It's just what I'm doing. I think they call that either bunting or blunting, the term that antidepressants do. They blunt a little bit. I mean, they're lobbing off the bottom and the top is what they're kind of doing.
I guess. I mean,
have you ever experienced any of that blunting?
That's interesting. No.
No.
I mean, I feel that it's lobbed off the bottom. Mm-hmm. But some of my depression is that I'm not as happy as I should be right now.
Because you're so sad. Yeah, you can't even reach.
But it's not even sadness. I think that's a misconception about depression. It's just like you're sad all the time.
Or
which
numbness.
Sometimes you are. But yeah, there's just this
detachment.
A little bit detached or just like, oh, I should be really happy here. Like I am. Technically I am.
All the ingredients
but I'm
are
not.
here.
Yes.
And I know myself.
So that was a sign for me that I should get on an antidepressant.
For sure.
And it did help with that.
Yeah.
So it's just everyone's so different.
They are, yeah. Even the fact that, like, and we just had an expert on this week as well, like, I don't have anxiety during the day. Ever. I've never had a panic attack. I don't even have those feelings. But at night, I do. I have anxiety at night.
Yeah, I know. Such a specific little monkey.
Might backfire. We'll see.
Well, then you'll adjust.
TBD, yeah.
Everything can be adjusted. Okay, Kathleen.
Oh, I was fascinated with
This was fascinating, yes.
The one thing I don't understand about the white power thing, like learning about that if you're white power, you immediately have to snap into like 3 other issues you support, like pro-life, anti-LGBTQ, because that reduces the amount of white children.
Oh, it's all about white birth rate, yeah.
I didn't really know that was one of their big agendas. But what seems not tactical on their end is like, if it's pro-life for everyone, that means a lot more brown babies are getting born too.
I know.
It's kind of, isn't that a push? What we would call a push on a blackjack table? Like, okay, you're going to have more white babies, but there'll be an equal amount now of brown babies also going up.
Because they're going to take other measures to get rid of people of color.
Now, that would be at least a logical platform for them to be pro-life for white people, but that brown people can get abortions. I mean, literally, that would make the most sense for their agenda.
For that subset of pro-life people, yes.
Oh, I'm just saying for white power people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. They should be pro-choice for non-white people and pro-life for white people.
Oh, my God. That is crazy. And timely, I guess.
I'm going to address this right now.
Okay.
I'd imagine some people are frustrated we haven't talked about the Roe v. Wade thing.
Yeah. I mean, I've posted some stuff. Not that much, actually.
I think it's great independently for both of us to have opinions. The only thing I guess my point on this is simply, I have very strong feelings about it. It's very...
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it's very, very present in my household, and it's a big thing. And my mother and I have had a bazillion talks. So it is huge in my life. I think it's incredibly important.
Yeah.
Yet I also think you should be able to tune into Seinfeld and not hear them talk about whatever the political thing was of that day. I think it's okay for us to have pockets of our life that are free of that. And I don't want anyone to interpret that as us not caring a ton.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Seinfeld should be Seinfeld.
I agree. I also don't think we're Seinfeld. If I'm I feel like we're not.
But we're doing this. To me, this is the level of which...
I'll put it in a nicer way. I think sometimes they want to hear our opinions because they hold us to a high standard, and that's really flattering.
Yeah, that's nice.
But yes, it's everywhere, and like sometimes you need a break from it. It doesn't mean we're not going to bring it up or talk about it at any point. It's just not going to be on the agenda necessarily.
Like for me, it's a huge issue in our household and in our friendship circle, and it takes a lot of our day is spent thinking about that. I personally like the break
Sure.
to click into something else and think about something else.
Yeah.
And so because I like that, I want us to be that in its simplest way.
Yeah, I just want us to be honest and authentic, which I think we are. I think that's, as Malcolm Gladwell would say, the
our
contract we have with our
Cherries.
That's a ding. That's a Easter egg.
With our Cherry Garcias.
Yes. So to me, that doesn't mean we're not talking about stuff. It just means we might not, unless it's relevant to the guest or if it's relevant.
Yeah, if we're learning about white power.
Exactly. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yes. That's why we're not actively ignoring when it's relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, I just have like a gajillion opinions on it, obviously.
As do I.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get into little facts because I got to go. I know.
And I have therapy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
What time is it?
It's 11:37.
Oh, we're great.
Okay, so she said in the dog picture that column is called a plinth.
Oh, right. That was mind-blowing. Assuming she's right.
Well, that's why I had to check. And a plinth is a heavy base supporting a statue or vase. So I would say yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a gross word. Sounds a little bit like pimple and... Yeah, I just got back from the doctor, and I guess I got a pretty good-sized plinth on my shoulder, and he's going to lance it off.
Speaking
have we
of...
told people? We've told people, right?
Well, but you ordered it.
Yeah, I know.
But it hasn't
They're taking their
come yet.
sweet-ass time.
I know. And I asked if they take off some freckles, because I found some random freckles I'd like removed.
All right, and we just don't know yet. But I have so many, I'll experiment on myself and see.
Okay.
It almost feels, do you feel like it's a little bit, like, you and I both believe in luck.
Yeah.
Like you got to go to the audition in Santa Monica
Yep.
or you'll never get an audition again. I just looked at this freckle. I thought, oh, that'd be a good one to try to zap. And then I thought, is that breaking the contract with my body? You know what I'm saying?
What if it changes your whole...
Well, just like, that's there.
I know.
And that's part of me.
Yeah.
And if I remove it, am I disrespecting?
I know. This is a struggle with plastic surgery.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I was given.
Yeah, is it disrespectful?
I know. I don't feel that about some of my freckles because they're new. They're from the sun.
But your body was like, you need these as you get mature.
No, I think they're like, you better put on some sunscreen. And I'm telling you, be careful.
Yeah. What about yesterday's guest spraying your eggs? You'd have a real chance of having like an Olympic athlete. With your elite muscle mass, your history as a state champion, your stick-to-itness and your mental acuity.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'd like a lot of them.
A redhead Indian?
Yeah, I think that they'd end up having brown hair.
Well, we don't know. That red hair is freaky powerful.
No, it's a recessive gene, and
Well,
there's
that's what
just...
you're saying. Till it's not.
It is a recessive gene. And you're right, I don't know 100%, but I would guess I don't have that gene. So mine would dominate.
Is it recessive? Do we know
Red,
that?
yeah.
You're positive. Okay. All right. Like blue eyes.
That's why it's rare. It's cool.
Yeah, I love it.
I love recessive genes.
I love the recession.
A lot of my genes are very dominant.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how long was Waco,
The standoff.
the siege?
Were you old enough to be watching that? I was fucking watching that on TV. That was
That's
wild.
Nuts.
Was it like 3 weeks or something?
It was 51 days.
51 days. Oh my God, divided by 7. That's 7 weeks and 4 days.
Wow.
Did you say 53?
51.
Oh, 51. That's wrong. 2 days. 7 weeks and 2 days.
The hard thing is with your math, like, I'm not going to correct it.
I know. It's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah.
But 7 times 7 is 49.
Yep. And then
And
add 2.
2. Yeah.
Okay, Lincoln-Marfan syndrome. We've talked about this before.
It's a great syndrome.
I wouldn't recommend it.
No, well, you can't recommend it. It's a recessive.
Well, I just said
Duck,
I liked
goose.
recessive.
Yeah, I know. So now you like
So
Marfans.
I don't like Marfans.
Well,
Okay. Okay.
So that was a duck, duck, goose.
Just to remind people, connective tissue disorder so affects many structures, including skeletons, lungs, eyes, heart, and blood vessels. Characterized by unusually long limbs.
Ooh,
and
that's
is
me.
believed to have affected Abraham Lincoln. But they didn't diagnose him. It's just
God,
like
no.
after they're like, oh, it looks like he probably had it.
Posthumously.
That's right.
It's like how we go back in time and we're like, that guy was gay. We don't know. We can't ask him.
Well, I guess right. We don't know how he would want to identify.
Sure.
But I guess if a lot of people saw him having sex with a man,
Right.
then they could be like, well, he was gay. But that's also...
Who knows now?
We just don't know.
We don't care. We don't care anymore.
We just, really.
All I care about is your fucking. The only position I have is I'm pro fucking. What a gift it was given to us little primates.
Consensual,
Yeah.
happy, joyful.
Fucking.
Yeah.
What a riot the aliens have when they see the monkeys bump around.
I think they're like these
They love it. They're
guys.
like, are they wrestling or are they, man, they are holding each other tight. Oh, well, they're screaming.
I hope one day we're able to interview an alien and really get down to their thoughts.
Would you want to have sex with an alien?
No.
I would immediately.
Of course you would. You want to have sex with everything.
Not animal, not any animals.
Well, why an alien then?
Because
they're animalistic.
they're above us. It's mean to fuck something below you intelligence-wise on the animal hierarchy.
Yeah, that's right.
But an alien's smarter than me, so I'm the donkey getting fucked at this point
Okay.
in the parable, or the dolphin.
But do you think you'd have intimacy?
Well, I think it could be like the Navi. Like, what if they connect me to something,
Yeah.
and then there's this huge explosion of neural activity, and then a sense of intimacy that's never been experienced.
But this is kind of the difference, like masturbation versus actual sex. Like you
Right.
can achieve this sensation, sometimes even better by yourself, but it's not the same.
You're not
as
getting the oxytocin bump and everything. Yeah.
So
There's no connection.
The aliens, I feel like, could probably give you a more intense sensation.
I think they could give us.
Intimacy?
Well, yeah, because of the extreme brain power they have. Because what you're talking about is something that happens between two brains.
Yeah.
You can rub the device,
Yeah, exactly.
the PP, the vulva. You can stimulate that.
But
it's the brain.
It's the soul.
Yeah, sure. The soul's in
Ding,
the
ding,
brain.
ding, soul.
Soul sisters. So I think because the alien's going to have this big, powerful brain, that my hunch is it's better. Because that's the thing you're hot for is the brain.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing
no,
I'm hot for.
But like, if I had sex with someone super smart who I'd never met before,
Right.
like, no.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about how smart they are. It's about
No.
how connected you are.
Okay, that's good. Very good point. Very good counterpoint.
you.
Almost might be a
The end
checkmate.
of it? Yeah.
But I think the alien is so sophisticated they could like fast track that. Mind you, I have a few lunches with the alien and stuff. Learn
Okay.
about
We'll see.
what he or she
Well, what
does.
if I think he speaks in a different language? But I guess that's not enough.
He or she
to-
would know how to speak in our language. Again, they're so much smarter than us.
Yeah.
The alien would be like, "Hello, Monica." But it'd be. The problem is too is they've really painted bad pictures of them. It's like we're both picturing octopi,
Yeah.
right? Or like some fucking huge oval shaped thing with giant eyes. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But now picture a Navi,
Right.
Beautiful
that's-
blue alien.
Yeah, that's hot.
enormous.
Or what if they're tiny?
But then there's for me going to be a logistical issue.
What
Right?
if they're just like a snail size?
No, you can't have sex with that.
Okay.
But what if they're big? Picture me and a woman that was like 9-10 feet tall.
Yeah, that's cool for you. I just think if they're too big,
For
that's,
you,
a logistical issue for
logistical
me.
issue. That's
yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay, here we are.
Ding, ding, ding.
God, am I horny for an alien right now? Okay.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great trip, and we'll
you
check
too.
in.
And those were the two white power, the column and the,
There was like one or two more. They're
Okay.
just not that important.
Okay, great. Have a great trip too.
Thanks.
Have so much fun. Love you
Enjoy
guys.
your linen.
Love you, Cherry Garcias.
We are supported by Allstate. Checking Allstate first could save you hundreds on car insurance. Not checking what the warning light means before pulling out of your driveway, you absolutely convinced yourself it was probably just a sensor thing right up until you were standing on the side of the road waiting for a tow. Yeah, checking first is the right move. So check Allstate first for an auto quote. It could save you hundreds. And for fast, reliable help when you need it, add an Allstate roadside plan today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Potential savings vary. Insurance and roadside assistance plans are subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Insurance provided by Allstate North American Insurance Company, Northbrook, Illinois. Roadside assistance plans provided by Allstate Motor Club, Incorporated, an Allstate affiliate.